Hey, I know this walk ain't popular, but I follow where your light goes. I know it's you, nothing impossible. Connected to my armor, bro, shining like a light bulb.
Umamu Yahuwah, Allah for Yah, Rock Yahuwah, who is Yahusha. Shabbat Shalom, beloved family, and to all those who are seeking truth, who are seeking to understand the lies and deceptions of this world, and to know who the Messiah is, who the Creator is. Barak Yahuwah, Shabbat Shalom to you all, Rumamu Yahuwah. This is your beloved brother, Watchman Azariah, who coming to you on behalf of Yahuwah's chosen people assembly, Barak Yahuwah. And today we'll be kind of going back to basic again, Barak Yahuwah. Looking at what to expect as a new believer, Rumamu Yahuwah. I know there are a few videos out there that will give a little guide of, kind of what to expect, or will tell you a few things, but there are some things that a lot of persons don't cover. And these are things that you will face, you will experience. And, so many have failed in these eras when they do face these things because they did not know or weren't aware of these things, to expect these things, or to be prepared for it, what to do when it does happen, what to do, what not to do, and all that stuff. So that's what we'll be looking at today. That's what I'll be showing you all today, especially, as I said, for new believers, Barak Yahuwah. Whether you are just been awoken to the truth, you want to come into the truth, or you have just been awoken to the truth, you maybe are in the 1 to 6 month period, because even 6 month period, you're still new. Even up to a year is not so bad. You'll be at this season and experience some stuff. But again, things will still come within that year time. Things will still come. I remember when I, first came into the truth, I experienced these things straight up until I was, in this belief, in this lifestyle, this walk, up until almost 2 years. Even up until 2 years, some things you still will experience after being in the truth for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. And because most will face this is because we probably did not deal with it at first. So Yahweh is making sure that we understand until it's like redoing a test, redoing an exam. You're going to redo that exam until you pass. If you don't pass the exam, you're going to have to go back, study, and do the test again or the exam again until you pass. Then you can be qualified. Then you can be certified. This is what Yahuwah said in 2 Timothy 2, verse 15. Study to show yourself approved. Approved. You got to study to show yourself approved, to be approved by Him. A workman that needed not to be ashamed, but rightly handling or dividing the word of truth. There are so many self-claimed teachers out here, self-claimed prophets, and all these things out here in the world that have, not really studied. They just read the scriptures and then, started to teach. What does it mean to study? I mean, so many persons say they are studying but don't even know simple Hebrew words. I mean, you don't even know what is the Hebrew word for guard. You don't know what is the Hebrew word for this. You don't know what is the original saying. What was Yahuwah? What did Yahuwah say in the original tongue? Is this that the English has? Is it correct? I mean, we should all know by now that these translators, they tampered with the words. They tampered with Yahuwah's word. So some parts are erroneously mistranslated, purposely, deliberately. They're trying to get you to go off track, not only with his name, not only with the names of the prophets, but also with certain commands as well and instructions. So you gotta understand that. Barak Yahuwah. So I should have added this to, the list of things, but I'll just say it right now. One of the first things to understand or expect as a new believer, you gotta understand that the scriptures have been tampered with, and you gotta seek Yahuwah. You gotta seek Yahuwah 10 times more. Yahuwah said in Jeremiah that when you seek him with your whole heart, then shall you find him. That's, I believe, in Jeremiah 29, verse 13. Yahuwah says, when you seek him with your whole heart, then shall you find him. In 1 Thessalonians No, not First Thessalonians, man. I love that scripture, but Barak Yahuwah. In Second Chronicles 7, verse 14, you will always hear me, repeat that script. Yahuwah says, if my people that are called by my name, he said, if it's a choice that you gotta make. He said, if my people that are called by my name would do what? Would humble themselves, seek me or seek my face, pray and turn from their wicked ways, then will he hear. Then will he hear. If you read Proverbs 28, verse 9, where Yahuwah says, he that turneth his ear away from hearing the Torah, his prayer, even his prayer is an abomination, which means he will not hear your prayer until you have turned your heart back to the Torah, turned your heart back to Yahuwah to seek him, to want to know him, to want to serve him in spirit and in truth. So the first thing that you got to understand and expect that you need to do is you need to humble yourself. You need to unlearn so that you can relearn. You cannot come into this walk with a puffed up mind. You cannot come into this walk using your Christianity knowledge. Not because you were a pastor in Christianity, not because you were a bishop, not because you were an apostle or an evangelist, or you were a Bible scholar. Do not come into this walk with that mentality, because it's a whole lot different in the walk. Because what you were taught were mostly lies. Not everything is a lie or was a lie, but most that you were taught were lies. So now you got to humble yourself. You got to be prepared to be humble. And that's one of the first things that Yahuwah will do. One of the first things that he will do, Barak Yahuwah. But before we jump into, one of the first things to expect, or the second thing, because as I just said, you got to understand that the scriptures have been, tampered with, and you got to unlearn to relearn. You got to humble yourself. This is why Yahuwah said in Second Chronicles 7, verse 14, if you humble yourself, then will he hear. But so many are not humble, and they think they're hearing from Yahuwah, but they're hearing from an unclean spirit that's continuing to deceive them. And you cannot, because as I said, when I came into this world, when I was in Christianity, I studied a lot. I read, I never, missed the Bible studies. I think only one I missed, and it was because I was really, 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 really sick. I believe at that point. That's the only one that I missed. And the pastor that I was around or under, he knew the name. He was using the name Yahuwah, Yahusha. He's still using the name JC and God because people are going to look at us crazy and wondering what we're talking about, but he's still using the name. And we did go through studies, and he did have his Bible studies. Like every other assembly had their Bible studies. And even though I went to Bible studies, nevertheless, when I'm home, I still studied because I want to learn. I'm so hungry. I was hungry for the truth. I wanted to learn. I wanted to know. So I'm not just waiting on Bible studies. I'm not just waiting on Sunday to study. I'm studying at home. But it wasn't a guided study by Yahuwah. It was a guided study by my pastor or by man or by whoever taught him. That's how he taught us to study. And then when I came in, I'm not fully guided by the rule. It's when I started to quiet down, humble myself, then he started to speak. And one of the first places that he led me to understand something was the book of Matthew, to understand how he was, how he truly was. Because the Messiah that I was following was the wrong Messiah. So he wanted first to understand who he is, because he was trying to show me that's not me. So before he even showed me the Torah, he had to show me who he truly was. And he brought me to the book of Matthew, and it opened up my eyes to a lot. The book of Matthew and some of the actions of the apostles. Then after he brought me to those two books, the book of Matthew or Matthew, and the book of Acts or Mahashim, he then brought me back to foundation, to creation, the book of Genesis, the Torah. He brought me back to the Torah, and that's when my eyes opened up even a lot more to realize that we were doing things all wrong. And then I had to leave religion. And coming out of religion, coming into this walk, this is what he did. He separated me from the world, from the things of the world. And he pulled me away from even a job, having a job. I had to study for a whole 6 months. A whole 6 months of studying. No TV, no this, no that. There are even times in the night that I will still be up, studying from 12 to 4 to 6 in the morning. Times where my Asha would, want me to take a break and, come lie down with her, but she knows I was doing Yahuwah's will, was doing Yahuwah's work, and she pushed her feelings aside, her desire aside to please Yahuwah. Because that's another thing that you gotta understand as well. You're not doing this to please you or to please your loved one or to please your husband or to please your wife. You're doing this to please Yahuwah. So this is why you gotta unlearn to relearn. So one of the first things to expect in this walk, beloved ones, is you gotta unlearn to relearn. Why? Because a lot of things were tampered with. A lot of things got corrupted. A lot of the things that we know today has been corrupted, manipulated. So you got to unlearn to relearn. You got to put your mind at this. You got to be humble. If you are not humble, you will not learn. And the thing is with pride, it's so very cunning. The spirit of pride, it comes in a very cunning and deceitful way. You may think you're doing the right thing. You may think, Yahuwah says in his word, there is a way that seems right unto a man, but the end thereof is death. So you may think you're in the right. You may think you're on the right line or road of doing it, but you may be wrong. So you need to humble yourself. And this is why Yahuwah, as a babe, when you're a babe, this is why Yahuwah will lead you to his true shepherds, his true teachers that will help you, that will guide you. That's why when he came to earth, he led the apostles, the 12 apostles. He taught them himself so that they could teach others. And we see this in the book of Acts. No one can gainsay that. Because I've seen so many that says, I don't need an assembly. I don't need a teacher. Well, one, you're forsaking two commands in one. Because Yahuwah says, do not forsake the assembling of the believers. And then in another part, in two, when Yahuwah spoke to, or Yahusha spoke to Kappa, still Yahuwah, spoke to Kappa, and he asked him 3 times, do you love me? And he said, look, feed my lambs, look after my sheep, look after my sheep. 3 times in the book of Acts chapter 2, how many souls, I says, got immersed? 3,000. And it said, if you read it, it says that they continued. They did not just get immersed and went off doing what they want to do, go proclaim to be a teacher or apostle or a this or a that. No. If you even notice when Judas' role was to be fulfilled or replaced, there was a replacement. What did they do? They cast lot. They seek Yahuwah on that. Yahuwah appointed, not them. So at the end of the day, Barak Yahuwah, whatever they do, they seek Yahuwah. And that's what Yahuwah says in Proverbs 3, verse 5 to 6. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. So when we read the book of Acts, this is why he led me there to understand how we need to operate. When we read the book of Acts properly, you will see that these persons that got immersed, they did not jump up and say, oh, I don't need you, Kappa. I can hear from the Ruach HaKodesh. I don't need you. The Ruach HaKodesh shall teach me all things. Remember, during that time, those scriptures were not written yet. So that means they were learning from what? The Torah. So in order to learn for the Torah, you gotta learn from someone who understands the Torah, who knows how to read it, understand it, interpret it, translate it back onto you, and all that stuff. And that's what they did. They learned from Kappa and the others. If you read the book of Acts, you will see this. Even during Sha'al's time, the Apostle Paul, as they would call it, there was a time where he and Barnabas was going on their journey, and Sha'al said to him, let's go back onto this city to look what's happening to those that we got immersed. Notice when Sha'al go into a city and he goes to fellowship or teach or whatever, or immerse, he stays there for a while because he got to help them because they are babes. Remember, you're not just leaving a workplace are a home. You're leaving a kingdom. You're leaving Hashatan's kingdom when you come into the truth. So guess what? He's not going to allow you to just walk away like that. He's going to do everything in his power to get you back to his kingdom. And if he can't get you back to his kingdom, he's going to then try to kill you. This is what Yahweh is talking about when he says the enemy comes but to kill, to steal, and to destroy. He comes to steal that joy from you, that word from you, or kill that word. And if he can't do it, he's going to then try to destroy you. So you got to understand that you are not just leaving a workplace that you can just go off on your own. You got your flesh to battle when you're just coming into this walk, and then you got demons to battle that are going to be coming to you at all angles. We'll get into that and show you the scriptures that I'm talking about so you can understand. You're going to have demons that are going to come at you from all angles. So you have these demons to battle, then you have your own flesh to battle because your flesh is so used to having things done its way. You got to understand that. So the flesh, if you are a person that is coming straight from the world, and when I say straight from the world, straight from the streets, I'm talking about. Because even Christianity, religion is still a part of the world. So let me separate. If you're a person that's coming straight from the streets, you got to understand that, remember, when you were in the streets, you weren't in religion. Because even in religion, there are certain kind of guidelines and stuff that people will follow. Some persons will try to abstain from certain things, but still be caught up in a lot of things. But when you're coming directly from the streets, you have no guidelines. You have no rules. You do as you please. You talk to whoever you please. You drink whatever you want, say whatever you want, do whatever you want. But in religion, there's a little guideline, but there's a fight because the spirit is at the same that you read these things in the scriptures and you know within your inner man, your love, that you need to not do these things anymore. But then these demons are telling you, do it, go, fornicate, go drink, go smoke, go do this, go do that. So if you're coming directly from the streets, you got to understand, especially from the streets, you got to understand that that flesh is going to continue wanting to party, wanting to drink, wanting to do whatever it's used to. You're coming in from religion, the same thing as well. That flesh is going to want to be back in religion. Why? Because the flesh is going to realize that religion is a whole lot easier than this walk. So if it had to choose, it would choose religion. You got to understand that. Because when we are in religion, the flesh had its way a bit. Not 100%, but it had its way a bit. If you get what I'm saying. For those who are coming from religion, whether you are coming from Christianity, especially Christianity, or you're coming from some other religion. There's a whole bunch of religion out there. You got Buddhism, Salakia, who for saying that name, I keep on forgetting. But you got that one, you got being a Muslim, Islam, and all the other stuff. So if you're coming from religion, there was a struggle there was a fight there, but at the same time, your flesh is used to it because it was a lot easier. This was what it was grown into. So it got used to it, it got programmed to it, it got trained to it. So the thing is that you have to understand, we don't like change. The body, the flesh doesn't like change. It likes to do things, or it's used to it. So whenever change comes, there comes problem. So that's one of the first things that you have to understand, beloved ones, that you gotta unlearn to relearn. Rumamu Yahuwah. Hallelujah. You gotta understand that. Barak Yahuwah. So, second thing to understand when coming into this world that a lot of persons don't really talk about, as you can see on the screen, I have Dabarim, Deuteronomy 8. I'm not going to read all of it, but you can read all of it on your own. You may read all of it because it's short. It's not that long. Anyways, it's just 20 plus chapters. So you can read all of it. Barak Yahuwah. Second thing that you got to understand when coming into this war as a new believer, Rumamu Yahuwah, you got to understand that because a lot of persons will talk about the challenges that you face. As I do say, the enemy coming at you, your flesh, you have your flesh to deal with. You have these demons to deal with, but guess what? There's another thing that you have to understand and be prepared for. You will be tested by Yahuwah. Understand that you will be tested by Yahuwah. What do I mean? Let's read it here in Dabarim. Let's let the scriptures answer this for you, because I'm not going to speak my own words, even though I have my own experience in it. Maya Shah has her experience in it. We both have our experience in this, what we're talking about being tested. Every believer, every believer that has come to the Torah has have their own share of experience, whether they pass it or they feel it. Some don't even know that this was being done by Yahweh. And this is why I'm looking, this is why I'm covering this, because some don't do this in their videos, in their teachings, in their advice or encouragement to you. Some don't share this, so I gotta do it. So you are being tested by Yahuwah. No, in Dabarim 8, verse 1, it says, guard to do, guard to do every command which I command you today, that you might live and shall increase and go in and shall possess the land of which Yahuwah swore to your fathers. No, it says God to do every command, not some, not what you want to, not what you feel. It's speaking to you about every command. Listen, verse 2. And you shall remember that Yahuwah, your Eloah, your mighty one, led you away these 40 years in the wilderness to humble you. There you go. To humble you, prove you, to know what is in your heart, whether you guard his commands or not. So he's testing you, testing to see if you love his, if you love him with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might, because that's the Shema. Deuteronomy 6. Hear, O Yasharal, Yahuwah, your mighty one, Yahuwah is one. And you shall love Yahuwah with all your heart, with all your might, with all your soul, with all your might. Not with some, not with 80%, not with 90%, not with 99%, 100%. You gotta have all foot in when you come into the spot with Yahuwah. You can't have one foot in Yahuwah and one foot in the world. Yahuwah already said that in Matthew, that you cannot serve Yahuwah and Mammon at the same time. You love one, hate the other. You'll be devoted to one and despise the other. There's no way. It's not possible. Don't even attempt, don't even try to do it. Don't try. You cannot have one foot in this walk, this lifestyle, this truth, and then try to have one foot in the world. You can't do that. It's either or none. It's either Yahuwah or none. It's not Yahuwah. Yahuwah or none. So Yahuwah is testing you to see what is truly in your heart. Because some persons, why they will use the name or come to, the name, come to this truth. And why I said the name and not the truth. This is the reason why I said the name and not the truth. Some people, why they will come to the name, not the truth, not being a Torah keeper. Because many people will say, oh, I keep the laws, statutes, and commandments. But are you a Torah keeper? That's a whole different thing. Because some people say, I keep the law, statutes, and commandments. I do honor my father and mother. I do keep the Shabbat like seven-day Adventist. And they will say some other stuff. Yeah, but are you a Torah keeper? So many don't want to acknowledge the Torah. They don't want to say, no, that Torah is of crime. That Torah is of slave. That Torah is not of freedom. So you got to understand, Barak Yahuwah, beloved ones, that you will be tested by Yah. Yahuwah is checking to see whether you love him or not, or if you have other motives. So back to what I was saying, why some persons will come to the name is because of their motive, because of their situation. We have seen this been done in Sianity, especially, I don't know about America, but here in Jamaica, let me tell you the few times you will have a CH here in Jamaica being full or filled like a lot of persons. I mean, overfilling. Like they will have so much persons there that person's got to be on the outside. Here's some of the few occasions that you will see this happen. One of the first occasions is if Jamaicans should hear there's an apostle coming, an apostle or prophet coming. Oh man, All who never been to CH, or if they did been to CH like years ago when they were youths, they would be there. You know why? Because they want to hear some kind of prosperity preaching. They want to hear some kind of prosperity about their life. They want to hear some kind of prophecy. So as I said, if there's an apostle or prophet coming, especially when that apostle or prophet is coming from overseas, whether that be America, Canada, England, Africa, especially when that apostle or prophet is coming from overseas. That's one of the main times you will see most assemblies being full, like filled with people, because they want to hear prosperity preaching, prosperity prophecy, prosperity doctrines. Oh, I see you getting a house, young man. Just believe in JC, and you get the house, you get the car. Oh, I see you getting a wife, young man. I see you getting a husband. Oh, I see you. That's all they want to hear. Or if it's a case where they're sick and they need healing, then they will run and come to these things. So we saw this being done in Christianity. Don't you think it's the same with Yahuwah, with the truth, with this walk? Some persons will come to the name of Yahuwah because they're in a situation they want deliverance from, or they want healing from, they want help from. So if they're sick, they will come to the name. Proof of this? Let me show you proof. The 10 lepers, the 9 lepers, right? Yes, they were 10, but I'm speaking to the 9. The 9 lepers, why did they come to Yahusha? They came to Yahusha because what? They were lepers. They needed healing. As soon as Yahusha healed them, did they stay at his feet? No, they walked away. They left. Only that one came back and thanked Yahuwah and stayed at his feet. Now, was he only healed? No, he was not only healed, but he was made whole because of that. So they only got healing, but he was the only one that was made whole to be renewed, a renewed creature. So we see this in Yahusha's time. So you got to understand that some person will come to the name because of what they are going through, not because they want to serve Yahuwah in spirit and in truth, just because they want to be healed. So this is why Yahuwah will test to prove them, so that they have proof, there's evidence, there's proof. Because if Yahuwah doesn't do this, remember, Yahuwah doesn't need to at the end of the day. Don't get me wrong, don't misunderstand what we're trying to say here, or what Yahuwah is trying to say here. Yahuwah doesn't need to do this, because Yahuwah knows every man's heart. It says that his word is quick, it is sharp, it is powerful, piercing through the divine thunders of bone and marrow and soul. So Yahuwah knows our very intentions and motives. But he's doing this so that there be witnesses to why you made this decision. So that the 24 elders, the messengers, all the beings that are in Shemayim, and even on earth, they have record there. He has witnesses. That's why he's doing it. He's made sure that he's not breaking his own word, because Yahuwah says, at the mouth of 2 or more witnesses shall a matter be established. So he's making sure he has witnesses, he has proof. He's not just saying, "Oh, you didn't come to me to serve me. You only come because." How do you know, Yahuwah? Well, I know your heart. I know it's within. And then he has no proof, no witnesses, no nothing. Some things Yahuwah won't need to speak to some people. He'll just probably, how I imagine it, roll down a screen or present a projector or something and show you your actions, show you your decisions, and you won't have nothing to say more than just walk straight into the pit, into the lake of fire. So he's doing this to show. How do I know this? Two scenarios that we can look at, but mainly one that we're going to talk about. Two scenarios are Ayub and Abraham. Now let's touch on Abraham, because we saw another side to this testing of Abraham and Ayub. Abraham and Ayub were tested. They were tested very much. They were tested a lot in their walk. They were tested, like truly tested. Their faiths were tested. Their amunah, their assurance, their confidence were truly tested in Yahuwah. We didn't saw much regarding Ayub, but this is what I'm talking about. Now, in both testings, there was another side to this testing that we saw with Abraham. If you should read Jubilees or Jubilee chapter 17, you will see what I'm talking about. In chapter 17, all the way to verse down to verse 11 or 12, you will see where it says, no, there were voices in the Shemayim, in the heavens, regarding Abraham, how he was faithful and a lover of Yahuwah. They were voices, which means the 24 elders and the messengers were speaking about Abraham. Abraham, I'm like, wow, man, this man is truly faithful. He truly does love Yahuwah. He loves Yahuwah more than anything in this world. So you got to understand that this will happen to you as well. Why? Yahuwah said in this word, again, and he said this to me, nothing is new under the sun. As in the days of Noah, so will it be in the days in the end times. You got to understand nothing is new under the sun. So what happened back then is going to happen again. It's a repeat. It's a pattern that we're seeing. The same way Yahuwah gave in to the serpents, we have females today that are giving in to the serpents and then deceiving their husbands to do the same. Nothing is new. It's the same old spirits. Hashatan's tactics, they don't change really. It doesn't really change. The enemy's tactics, they don't change. That's why you can study them to know them, to identify them, so you can know what to stay away from, what to be aware of, alert of. But if you don't properly study, then you won't know. Yahuwah says, be wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. You got to understand how the serpent moves. There's a particular way a serpent moves. If you study that serpent, then you will know how he moves to avoid his attacks. So nothing is new. So the same way our ancestors were tested in the wilderness after he brought them out of Mizraim, you will be tested the same. Because not everyone comes to Yahuwah to serve him. Some only come because they want healing like the 9 lepers. And as soon as they get what they want, they walk off. So if that's why you're coming to Yahuwah, that's why you're coming to the name, then you have a wrong motive, you have a wrong heart. You need to change your heart. This is why Yahuwah says you need to humble yourself. Rumamu Yahuwah. So, Barak Yahuwah, this is one thing that you got to understand. He's testing you. He humbled you and let you suffer hunger and fed you with manna which you did not know, nor did your fathers know, to make you know that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of Yahuwah. Not only is he proving to see if you love him or not, but he's proving to you that he is true of his word. He's going to prove to you that he is a promise keeper, that if he says it, he's going to do it. Because he has proven that to me. When he told me, not only me, but my Yeshua as well, to walk away from our jobs and to study, he proved it to us. The workman is worthy of his wages, of his bread. If he provides for the sparrows and he provides for the trees and the grass and the lilies of the field, he will provide for us the same. Seek ye first the kingdom of Yah and his righteousness, and everything else will be added. That's Matthew 6:33. Read Matthew 6. Get the context of what he's saying. So what is Yahuwah showing you, proving? He says he will prove you. Prove to see if you love him, and prove you to show that he loves you. He is a promise keeper. He is all powerful. So he led them to be hungry. He allowed them rather to be hungry, so that he could feed them with manna, which no man knew. They ate messengers' bread. Your garments did not wear out on you, nor did your foot swell these 40 years. So see, he's not only testing them, at the same time while he's testing them, he's showing them, he's proving to them that he is Yahuwah. He is the Alua of all Aluahim. He is the mighty one of all mighty ones. Rumamu Yahuwah. So that no one has any excuse. Thus shall you know in your heart that as a man disciplines his son, so Yahuwah your Alua disciplines you. You got to understand this as well. Understand that you will be disciplined by Yahuwah. Do not see discipline as an attack. Do not see correction as an attack. Your flesh, another thing to understand, your flesh will see correction as an attack. Your flesh will see it very negatively. It doesn't matter how, or it doesn't matter how the person corrects you, how he speaks to you, whether by how he speaks to you or what he does, you will see it all wrong, all negative. Not you, but your flesh, your old man is going to see it all negative. Because remember, in the world, in the streets, and in religion, in the world, you weren't getting correction. Your flesh is not used to being corrected. So now that you have come into this truth, now your flesh is being corrected. And then the spirits that are around you, they are going to say, hey, look, he doesn't know love. Why is he correcting you? Why is he disciplining you? Is he your father? No, don't let him do that to you. He's disrespectful. He has no love. She has no love. You got to understand that you will be disciplined. You will be corrected. That does not mean Yahuwah does not love you. Did Yahuwah not love all the others when he rebuked them? He harshly rebuked many persons in scriptures. Did he not love them because he did that harshly? The thing is that we got to understand we need it harshly at times, probably most of the times, because our flesh is so stubborn. We are so stubborn, Yasharal. We have to understand that Yaakov was a stubborn individual, and we have traits of Yaakov. Look, I mean, it took them 430 years to fully repent, to learn. I mean, that alone should show you how stubborn they were and how stubborn your flesh can be today. I mean, look at some of us. Did we came into this truth straight off out of our mother's womb as soon as we began to spoke? We said, oh, I want to serve Yahuwah. It took some of us years before we accepted this. That goes to show how the spirits are working and how our flesh is stubborn. So in most cases, we will be harshly corrected or rebuked. But you got to understand that Yahuwah is doing this because he loves you, because he does not want to see you going into the pit. So if Yahuwah uses, if whether he does this through a dream, whether he say this out loud where you can hear him, or if he does this through a brother or a sister, your leader, whoever the case may be, even a madman, a man that they will say is of unsound mind, Yahuwah will correct you through different ways. Do not, and I repeat, do not reject this form of discipline. If you do, you're rejecting Yahuwah's correction. Be careful. Do not let your flesh overcome you or get in the way. Umamu Yahuwah. Verse 6 it says, therefore you shall guard the commands of Yahuwah your Elohim, to walk in his ways and to fear him. For Yahuwah your Elohim is bringing you into a wonderful land. Don't say this word G-O-O-D. It is from the word G-O-D, which is from the name G-A-D, the Babylonian mighty one of fortune or money. So G-O-O-D is from G-O-D. I mean, look at it. It's the same kind of spelling. The only thing is there's an extra O. Remove the O, you're left with that. That's why some persons, when they say G-O-D, that's how it sounds. It sounds as if they're saying G-O-O-D. And if you look into the etymology of G-A-D, it is also from G-U-D. And this is always pronounced. G-U-D is pronounced this way. So don't say this word anymore. Say wonderful, right, whatever other word that you can say except this word. So Yahuwah is bringing you into a wonderful land, a land of streams of water, of fountains and springs that flow out of valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley, of vines, of fig trees, pomegranates, a land of olive oil and honey, a land in which you eat bread without scarcity, in which you do not lack at all. So you see, Yahuwah will provide for you. He will take care of you. A land whose stones are iron, out of whose hills you dig copper. And you shall eat and be satisfied, and you shall barak. Another the translation, the true translation for the word barak. The word barak means to kneel. The word barak means to kneel. So to kneel in respect. It's like when you walk into a king's palace and you go before the king, you kneel, you show him respect. So that's what the word barak means. It does not mean bless. Blessed, blessings, they all are the same, which ties to sprinkling blood on a pagan altar. That's why the world loves this word. Many people say, oh, they are blessed and highly favored, or oh, bless you. And if you notice, the world love this word. They really love and enjoy this word. Even those, and when I said the world, that's what I mean. I'm not talking about only Christians. Not talking about those in Christianity. I'm talking about the world in general. They love this word. I mean, I know so many persons right now here in Jamaica that use this word that are not even in religion, that don't even serve the Most High. They do all kind of things, but yet they love to say they are blessed and highly favored. They don't do nothing. They don't even go to CH on a Sunday. Nothing. But yet they say they're blessed and highly favored. And they do nothing more than live their lives. Go to work, drink, eat, party, do whatever. But yet you're blessed and highly favored. So you see, this word, everyone has a misconception of this word bless, or blessings are to be blessed and all the stuff. The word blessings should have been gift. Baraka is the Hebrew word for gift, which they changed from being gift to being blessings. The word baraka means gift or gifts. So when you receive these gifts of Yahuwah, so the word Baruch and Barak, Barak is respect, Baruch would be respected. So the word should be respect. You shall respect Yahuwah your Elohim for the wonderful land which he has given you. You shall kneel to Yahuwah, kneel down to Yahuwah for the wonderful land which he has given you. So you see, this is what the word truly should translate to mean. So again, this is also another reason why you cannot just take it word for word exactly. Like, oh, you're seeing it in the English, because it will throw you off. It will throw you off. That's why he created different languages to confound people, to confuse people. So you got to remember that and understand. Be on guard lest you forget Yahuwah your Elohim by not guarding his commands and his right rulings and his instructions. I don't like saying laws, because his Torah are not laws. And this is why people have a misconception of being under law versus being under grace. Because if you look at what the word law means, it means a group of rules that have been given to a community or a group of people that must be guided. And if not guided, if you break one of these rules or guidelines, there must be punishment. You will be punished. But with Yahuwah's instructions, if you accidentally break one, there is not must be a need for punishment. Why? What if you accidentally did this and Yahuwah reveals it to you, or whether through his rule or he comes to you and speak to you and you repent? Is he going to punish you for it? No, he's not. He's going to give you a second chance. He's going to encourage you. Say, hey, everyone makes mistakes, Barak Yahuwah. No, you have made a mistake. Learn from it. Do not make the same mistake again. Just do better. He's going to encourage you to do better, not to make the same mistake again. But with rules, no, with laws, no, even if you accidentally break one, there is a punishment. Even if you accidentally break one. I mean, look at these laws that are in these different countries. Whether your country, whether you're in Europe, South America, North America, the Caribbean, wherever you are, Asia, wherever you are. I mean, look at your laws. Look at how many persons accidentally broken. Well, like they did not do this with a sound mind or pure intention to do it. I mean, they accidentally did this. Look at how severely so many of them were punished, even though they said they were sorry and you can check their record. They have never done this before. Still, they are punished. They don't say, you know what, I'm going to give you a warning or whatever. And I'm not talking about a simple traffic offense. Like, let's say you may have a perfect driving record and you may accidentally run a stop sign. You may accidentally, slowly drive past. You may not come to a complete stop. A police officer, if he's on scene and he sees that, He will pull you over and say, did you know you just run a stop sign back there? But before he does that, he's gonna run your plates. He's gonna see your driving history and see that, whoa, this guy has a clean history. Now, if I should make a report of this, give him fine him for this, it will show up on his driving record. And I don't want to be the one that has to put this on his driving record, especially because we all make mistakes. I saw this in a video once where this officer, she gave this guy a chance because he had a perfect driving record, and she said she's going to give him a verbal warning. So I'm not talking about simple offenses, traffic offenses like that, and you have a perfect record, and they may give you verbal warnings and say, hey, try not to let it happen again. That's how you can look at Yahuwah's Torah, his instructions, his commandments. If you accidentally break it, he will give you a verbal warning and encourage you. Not only just warn you, but he will also encourage you. He will also show you what can you do to not make it happen again. This is how Yahuwah is beautiful and how amazing his instructions and his Torah is. That's what his instructions, as a matter of fact, that's what his Torah is designed to do. His Torah, his instructions, because the word Torah, or Torah as they would say, it should translate to be instructions. That's what his Torah will do. They're a manual to life. His Torah will guide you on what to do and what not to do. If you follow it, you'll be in the right. You'll be in the okay. If you don't follow it, then it will tell you what will happen, what will come next. So that's what his Torah is designed to do. It's not Torah of bondage, or as they would make it seem in religion, because that's what they try to make the Torah seem, especially in Christianity. They try to make the Torah seem as if it's bondage. It's a curse. It's a cursed thing. It's a bad thing. It's not. So you need to understand that as well. It's not a bad thing, everyone. It's a guideline. It's like a manual. It's like getting your first car, getting your first phone, your first appliance, whatever it is, and it comes with a manual. You have no clue what to do. The inventor makes sure he puts a manual in there to tell you what to do with your appliance, what you can do, what's safe to do, and what's not safe to do. So you have an idea. It explains to you how to use it, how to properly use your product. So that's what Yahuwah Torah is. It's a manual that tells you how to properly use the product that has been given unto you. Umamu Yahuwah. Now, verse 12. Lest you eat and shall be satisfied, and build lovely houses, and shall dwell in them. And your herds and your flocks increase, and your silver and your gold are increased, and all that you have is increased. That your heart then becomes lifted up, puffed up, being prideful. And you forget Yahuwah your Allah, who brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim, Egypt, from the house of bondage, who led you through the great and awesome wilderness, fiery serpents and scorpions, and thirst where there was no water, who brought water for you out of the flinty rock, who fed you in the wilderness with manna, which your fathers did not know, in order to humble you and to try you, to do you right in the end. Then shall you say in your heart, my power and the strength of my hand had made for me this wealth. And I've seen this happen. I've seen so many persons, come into the walk, the truth, and Yahuwah has done so much for them, and they, has allowed their hearts to be puffed up. And no, at first they used to give all esteem and credit to Yahuwah, but then after they start to be a little bit lifted up in their heart, puffed up in their heart, and start to take that esteem and credit for themselves. Because they may have a little business, or they may have a job now, and they think, oh, this their own knowledge that is doing this and all that stuff, so yada, yada, yada. But this is what Yahuwah said in Proverbs 3, 5-6. Trust in Yahuwah, not in your wealth, not in your job, not in your career. Because some persons will say, I don't have a job, I have a career. So let me put career as well. Barak Yahuwah. Not in your houses, not in your husband, not in your wife, not in your son, not in your daughter, not in your father, your mother, whoever it is. Your source and only source is Yahuwah. It's not your job. Your 9 to 5, your business, that's not what gives you wealth. It's not your own doing, not your own power or strength that gives you wealth. Those in the world, do you think they gain wealth by their own strength or power? No. They gain wealth by Hashatan. Remember, Hashatan offered this to the word, to Yahusha. If you bow down to me, all these things of the world I can give to you. Hashatan is in control of these things. So this is what you got to understand. That's why even coming into this walk, you will find it hard to get your Shabbat off. That's another thing that you have to understand. You will find it hard to get your Shabbat off. You may have to end up walking away from your job because you have to make a stand. You can't continue to compromise. You already missed out and so much, Shabbat, so much feast days. I know that you're in the walk, you're in the truth, your employer saying, oh no, we can't give you those days. Every Shabbat, no. We can give you at least some. Can you work with that? No, I want all. I was already living 70 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, whatever years. I was already living that amount of years, not keeping it. No, I want to keep it fully. So you got to understand as well that these employers, your job, your career, your business may not give you the opportunity to keep the Shabbat. Now, this is where Yahuwah comes in because now he's going to need to prove to you that he is your source. He is your provider. And as he just said, he proved to you, to humble you, to know that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of Yahuwah. This is how Matthew 7 verse 7 comes in. Ask and you shall receive. Seek and you shall find. Knock and the doors will be opened unto you. This is now how you prove Matthew 6:33. When you seek Yahuwah's kingdom and his righteousness, seek ye first, and then everything will be added. This is now how you prove Yahuwah, by showing him that you trust him. Did we saw this with many others in the scriptures? Yes, we did. We saw this with Abraham. Did he trust the Yahuwah? Yes, he did. When Yahuwah told him to leave his home country and go into another country that he will show him, he didn't know where, he didn't know what to expect, what was going to happen, but he trusted Yahuwah. Did Yahuwah made him poor? No, he made him wealthy. He even tested him with the wealth of kings. And he rejected it. Why? Because he doesn't want them to say, oh, I made Abraham wealthy. No, all esteem and credit goes back to Yahuwah. So you got to understand and know that coming into this walk, you will find challenges with getting your Shabbat off and the feast days off. And you will need to make a stand in this. You will need to make a stand. You need to ask in assurance and confidence. You cannot ask in doubt. You cannot doubt and ask Yahuwah. If you do that, you will not receive that which you ask of. We'll go to that scripture next. So be careful. When Yahuwah does make you wealthy, because Yahuwah did say that after the 400 years, he will then make them possessors of things. But before he can make you a possessor, he's going to test you, he's going to prove you. And while he's testing you and proving you, he will allow you to gain some possession to see if you're only serving him to become wealthy. If that's the reason why you're doing it, oh, don't even bother, because Yahuwah is going to find out. Nothing hides from the eyes of Yahuwah. Nothing is hidden. So if that's the reason why you're coming into to Yahuwah, coming into this truth, don't even bother. Do it with the right heart, with the right motive. Because if you do it wrongly, you will be judged by that. Every man will be judged according to his deeds. No, verse 18 says, but you shall remember Yahuwah your Elohim, for it is he who gives you power to get wealth. For it is he who gives you power to get wealth, in order to establish his covenant, which he swore to your fathers, as it is today. It is Yahuwah who gives you power to get wealth. And if it's not Yahuwah who is giving you power to get wealth, then guess what? It must be one other person, because there are two in this life, in this world. Can't serve two masters at the same time. You got the master of mammon and the master of money. That's why he said the love for money is the root of not all evil, not money. Because even that was a misconception that we heard in the world. I saw, pictures, those photos that they will put person's name under, like Rick Ross or someone else or some writer or some celebrity, and they will give some kind of encouraging word with background of a mountain or water or river, whatever the case may be. I've seen quotes where they will say, Rick Ross quote this, and he did say, the money is the root of all evil, but he will not say the love for money. Now, why is it the love for wealth, the love for money, the root of all evil, and not money? Money can't do anything. Money is just a object, a lifeless object that has no soul, no life, no breath. It cannot walk, it cannot talk, it has no use. Money, silver, gold, whatever, it has no life. No, the person going after the money, that's who have life. That's who can walk, talk, and do actions. No, when it says the love for money is the root of all evil. I've seen persons who have such love for money sacrifice their own family members for it, kill for it. They will do stuff that they will not do if they should have a sound mind with a pure heart. It will lead you to do things that you will never thought you would have done in your wildest of years. So that's why the love for money is the root of all evil. So you got to understand that if it's not Yahuwah then giving you power to get wealth, it must be Hashatan. When we were in the world, in religion, that's who gave us power to get wealth, Hashatan. I mean, look at religion for one, Christianity. Who's giving these assemblies and these pastors power to get wealth? Hashatan, by having persons paying tithes and all this nonsense. So even with these charities, even with these, celebrities and all these things, it is Hashatan that gives them power to gain their wealth. It's not Yahuwah because they don't serve Yahuwah. So Yahuwah won't take care of someone who doesn't serve him. That doesn't make any sense. So if you serve Yahuwah, it is Yahuwah giving you the power to get wealth. So remember, at the end of the day, Yahuwah is your source and only source and should be your only source. Nothing else. So don't be afraid to walk away from a job if it's not willing to give you the Shabbat. Do not be afraid to. They don't want to give you the Shabbat off, so be it. There are many other jobs out there. There are many fishes in the pond. So many jobs, so many opportunities that Yahuwah can give you. I mean, as a matter of fact, Yahuwah can give you your own business right away. But you got to show him that you trust him. You got to show him that you trust him enough. If you don't do this, then we're going to read what happens next. Let's finish this chapter. And it shall be if you by any means forget Yahuwah your Alua, and follow other mighty ones, and serve them, and bow yourself to them, and barak them, respect them, I have warned you this day that you shall certainly perish. Like the nations which Yahuwah is destroying before you, so you are to perish, because you did not obey the voice of Yahuwah your Alua. Now let's jump to the book of James real quick. Let's read something there. James 1. Let's read it. Now James 1 verse 1 it says, Yaakov, a servant of Allah and of the Master Yahusha HaMashiach, Messiah, the 12 tribes who are in the dispersions, greetings. Now listen to what he says, verse 2. My brothers, count it all joy when you fall into various trials. Count it all joy. In Psalm 68, verse 8, Yahuwah says, let the righteous be glad. Let them rejoice before Yahuwah. Yea, let them exceedingly rejoice. In 1 Thessalonians 5, Yahuwah says, in all things give thanks. You can go back to the day of Passover, and see where death was passing over. What was the children of Yasharah's attitude? Were they crying? Were they sorrowful, mourning? No, they were rejoicing. They were glad. So whatever we do, we should be glad. We should be trusting Yahuwah. We should be thanking Yahuwah. Enter into his gates with thanksgiving, and into his courts. Enter through his gates with thanksgiving, and into his courts with praise. You always will see this about Yahuwah. Praising him, thanking him, loving him, baraking him, and all these words. You will not see it says, mourn to Yahuwah. be sad, be unjoyful. No, it will not say that. It will not say that. So you got to understand that you need to count it all joy when you fall into various trials, situation, challenges. Why? Listen, verse 3. Knowing that the proving of your belief, the proving of your amunah works endurance or patience. And verse 4 says, let endurance, patience have a perfect work, so that you be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. Now, in the KJV and in the Sefer, it will say, let patience have her perfect work. Patience, not her. The same thing goes for wisdom. Wisdom is not her. It should be it. Let patience have its perfect work. Or ask for wisdom, and it shall be granted unto you. They're trying to feminize these words. They're the same way they're trying to feminize Yahuwah. So you need to understand that. That's why I'm reading from the TS 2009 and not the Sefer, because the Sefer made it to be her. They're trying to feminize this, which is wrong. Which the Sefer is taken back from the KJV. So even though it replaced the name and some other words, but if you notice how the Sefer is worded, it's worded similar to the KJV. So I wish they did a better job in not doing that. And, not only just putting back the name of Yahuwah, but also breaking down these words a lot better because, just repeating the KJV is still wrong because some of these words, as I said, are mistranslated purposely. So this is why you count it all joy, because Yahuwah is making you perfect. He's allowing these trials to come at you so that you be perfect, so that your patience increases. So when it happens to you, don't be fussed. Yes, your flesh will be frustrated. You will get frustrated. But do not get to the point where you start to murmur and complain, because Yahuwah does not like that. We saw this with the children of Yasharal in the wilderness where they murmured and complained. Read Bamidbar or number 16. They murmured and complained. They thought they were murmuring and complaining against Masha, but it was against Yahuwah. So please, no matter what, no matter how hard it may get, because Yahuwah did told us that broad is the road that leads to destruction, and it's easy. Many are on. Straight and narrow is the road that leads to eternal life. It's hard. It's not easy. So Yahuwah already foretold and warned us that it's not going to be easy. But if you endure to the end, you shall be delivered. He will be with you. When you pass through the fires, he will be with you. He will make a way when there seems to be no way. So even though it's going to be hard, he's letting you know it's not impossible. Because with man, it may seem impossible, but with him, it's all things are possible. So understand that no matter what, no matter how difficult, no matter how hard things will get, do not murmur and complain. Yahuwah does not like that. Some of the times we complain and murmur and we don't even realize that what we're doing is murmuring and complaining. There are simple things that we will see that it may seem simple, but it's not simple. That we don't even know it's still complaining, still murmuring. You may have a child that's giving you a hard time, headache. Oh, I can't bother. And he's always good. Oh, man, come on, man. You gotta, he's always doing this. I can't stand it, man. I can't bother with him. You're saying you can't. You can't stand it. You can't bother. That's complaining. That's murmuring. I can't stand this child. How do you feel when you were doing the same thing with Yahuwah or your parents? But they endured with you. Yahuwah especially endured with you. So you got to understand that you got to be careful of this. Because the world has made us complainers and murmurers unknowingly. All of us, we were there. All of us. Every of us, we were there. I'm telling you. You might not realize, you might not know it. And I've seen it so many times. I've seen it with myself. I've seen it with my Isha. I've seen it with everyone that I've came across. Everyone, whether in the truth or in the world. Some simple things that we will say is complaining. Instead of giving thanks, instead of saying something bad happens and instead of being Oh, I can't stand this. Oh, I can't take it. We could simply be like, you know what? Barak Yahuwah. Thank you, Yahuwah. Thank you. Ruma Mu Yahuwah. That's what the flesh has learned to do, has been programmed to do over the years. So you will do it and not be aware of it at times. So gotta be careful. So verse 5 says, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of Allah who gives to all generously without reproach, and it shall be given to him. But he should ask in belief, in confidence, not doubting. For he who doubts is like a wave of the sea, driven and tossed by the wind. For that man should not think that he shall receive whatever from the master. He is a double-minded man, unstable in all his ways. So whenever you ask of Yahuwah, you need to ask in confidence, not ask in doubt. Do not second guess. Do not hesitate. Do not doubt. Be assured. Be confident in this very thing. Be confident. Umamu Yahuwah. You know, there's a scripture that speaks about this. Philippians 1 verse 6, where Yahuwah says, being confident at this very thing, that he which has begun a wonderful work in you will perform it until the day of Yahushua Mashiach. You need to be confident. So if you ask Yahuwah, as long as you're asking according to his perfect will, not his permissive will, like we saw David did and Solomon did when they asked for multiple wives, that was his permissive will, that he allowed them to have these multiple wives, even though he warned against it. The children of Yasharah, when they asked Samuel that they wanted a king that they could see, which they were saying to Yahuwah, Yahuwah willed it, he allowed it. But was that his perfect will for them? No. It was his permissive will. That was his permission. He gave them, they asked and he gave them permission to do so, even though he warned against it, not to do so. But they still wanted to. Did they regretted it? Yes, they all did. They all did. So you got to ask in confidence, as long as you're asking according to his will, perfect will for you. Umamu Yahu. So let me show you a simple example. All right, you don't have a job right now. You had to leave your job because they were not willing to give you your Shabbat off. No, you need, you're going to need, funds or a new job or something, so you can do whatever, you're going to need food, all these things. You got to trust Yahuwah and ask Yahuwah in confidence, knowing that he will do it. He will provide for you. Whether if he has to give you another job or if he's going to give you your own business, because in most cases, that's what he really wants to do. He doesn't really want to give you a job to work for these heathens. He really wants to give you your own business. But it's mostly because of our faith, our disobedience, and all these other stuff that will be caught up in these things. Because when we look at the righteous people, our ancestors, they were given wealth, they were given businesses. They did not work for regular people or whatever the case may be. They had their own businesses and all that stuff, their own farms or whatever it is. They didn't go out and work for, the heathens or whatever it is and have a struggle to get Shabbat off or to get your feast days off, because even if you do get your Shabbat off, here's another struggle: the feast days. Because you got to remember, there are certain times during the feast days, during the 7 feasts, that there are certain days that you will need off that are high day Shabbats that you cannot work on these days. So separated from the weekday Shabbat, you will need some days in the week during the feast days off. Even though it's not a lot, but you will still need these time off. Some employers will have a hard time giving you these days off. So do you really think Yahuwah would send you at a job knowing that this employer would not give you the feast days off or the Shabbats off and allow it to happen? That's Yahuwah breaking his own word. That's Yahuwah. No, if you don't keep the feast or the Shabbat, you can blame Yahuwah. Yahuwah, you gave me this job. You allowed them not to give me the feast days, not to give me the Shabbat. Can you do that? No, you cannot, because Yahuwah will never allow that to happen. Even if he does allow you to get a job, because maybe you are acting in his permissive will, was that his perfect will for you to work for people? What if Yahuwah's will is for you to go out into the street just to minister? You got to ask, but you're only trying to view this in the worldly way, because you may be in a rent apartment, you want to pay rent, you want to do this. So that's one of the things that we get so caught up with. We get so caught up with the things of the world. We got to buy food, we got to pay rent. How do we do this if we don't have a job, Azari? You got to work to get paid. Even the scripture tells you that a man that does not provide for his family is worse than an infidel. Even the scripture says it. So you got to work. If you read the context of that scripture, you'll see that that's not talking about regular job. That's talking about the word, the work of Yahuwah. If you're in the truth and you don't provide, because it says before you go out, you got to provide for your family first, your inner family first, share the truth with them. They don't receive, then you move on and you go out. So you got to provide for your family. You can't be telling persons in the streets to keep the Torah, the instructions, the commandments, and then your family, your immediate family. When I'm saying your family, I mean, I'm not talking about your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, because they can do whatever. They have their own freedom of choice. But you, as the head of the house, your wife, your children, they're not keeping the Torah. They're not keeping the instruction. They live as they please. You don't say it to them. You don't tell them to. You're worse than an infidel. How can you provide for those outside and not provide for those inside? No, here's a scenario, here's a situation. No, if you did provide, if you did try to share the truth with them and try to get into the place and they reject it, they refuse it, they don't want to, then you don't have any choice but to allow them. You can't force your wife or your husband or your children to serve Yahuwah. You can't force no one to. But what I'm saying is, what that scripture is talking about is, you got to do this first there. You got to do it also there, whether first or second, whatever. You got to do it there also. You got to share the truth with them also. You can't only share the truth to strangers and not those of your own household. So that's what that scripture is talking about. If you don't provide what? The word of truth. So it's not just talking about having a job just to bring food on the table. Why? Because as I said, Yahuwah is our source. He gives us power to gain wealth. The apostles never seek out jobs. Yahuwah pulled them away from jobs. So how could that be talking about a job when he told them to leave their jobs? Some were fishermen, some were one was tax collector. Why would that be jobs if Yahuwah pulled them away from jobs? And yet they still provided for their families because they had families. They had wife and children at home. But they did Yahuwah's will. They went out and proclaimed the truth. Yahuwah told them in Matthew 6 and in Matthew 10, especially read Matthew 10, which we are going to shortly. When he sent out the 12, he says, don't even take money in your money purses or scrip or clothing or whatever. The workman is worthy of his wages. That will be provided for on the journey. Because who you're going to proclaim the truth to, Yahuwah will put it in their heart to help. So don't worry about that. And if you read Matthew 6, that's what Yahuwah says. He says those of the world worry about food and clothing and all these things. They're the ones that worry about paying rent, worry about food, worry about clothes. That should not be ours. We should not be like that where we worry about how to pay rent, how to buy food. Nah, that should not be in our thought. But that's what the world wants us to do. The world wants us to worry. And by worrying, we doubt Yahuwah. By worrying, we don't trust Yahuwah. That's why the world, the enemy wants us to worry. Because if you do worry, you will not be able to fully trust Yahuwah. If Yahuwah says, don't work for 6 months, worrying will cause you to wait 3 months, maybe 2 months, maybe even a month, maybe even a week. Worrying will lead to that. It will lead you to doubt Yahuwah, then doubt will lead to disobedience, being disobedient to Yahuwah. And we just read that in Dabari, in Deuteronomy 8, because he did not obey the voice of Yahuwah. So in Christianity, that's what they told us. And that's why you see, everyone had jobs, but their true jobs that they should be doing was the ministry, the truth, sharing the truth. But you know why they couldn't do it? Because they didn't have the entire truth. They weren't worshiping Yahuwah in spirit nor in truth. So, Barak Yahuwah, don't worry about these things. So no matter how rough, no matter how tough or hard or difficult your situation may get, beloved ones, do not worry. Do not doubt Yahuwah. If you do, you will not receive of him. Then you will be caught up in the world again. Hashatan will show up and he will give you things. Yahuwah clearly said it. If you don't, you should even think that you will receive whatever from him then. Oh, ye have little faith. It says that if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can tell the mountain to be moved. But if you have no faith, then what happens? You can't tell the mountain to move. You can't tell nothing to move if you have no faith. So that's why you should even think that you will receive anything, because you don't have any faith in him that gives you power to get wealth. So that's another thing that you need to understand when coming into this truth as a new believer. I'm telling you, I was there. Take it from me. I had to put my trust in him, my all in him, the same way my wife had to. Yes, she was a little bit worrisome at first, but Yahuwah reassured us. She asked me a question that, I said something to her regarding Abraham and said, we got to take this leap of faith the same way Abraham and Sarah did. They weren't sure of a lot of things and this and that, but did Yahuwah provide for them? Did Yahuwah take care of them? He did. And she calmed down a bit and all that stuff, and Yahuwah helped reassured her that it will be okay. And here we are today. So it will seem that way. Your flesh will be that way, but don't worry about it. Yahuwah will take care of it. Barak Yahuwah. Now let's jump down to verse 13. All right. Now verse 12. Let's read verse 12. It says, respected, Baruch. Respected is the man who does endure trial. For when he has been proved, remember we read this in Deuteronomy 8. So you see it's quoted from the Torah, because remember, this wasn't written during the times of Yahusha, during the times of the apostles. These books weren't written, and that's what most people keep on forgetting, especially in Christianity. They make it seem as if Yahusha and the apostles were reading from the renewed covenant, from, as they would call it, the New Testament. They made it seem as if these books were written, and this is where they were reading from. They were reading from the Torah and the prophets and the Apocryphas. Because there's a quote that Yahusha made. I'm trying to remember the quote, but if I do remember, I'll share it in another video or in the comments if I do find it. There's a quote that Yahusha made that you will search the Torah, you will search the prophets, and you will not find where he quoted this from. The only place that you will find where he quoted from was the book of Enoch. He made a specific quote that is only found in the book of Enoch. So, Barak Yahuwah, you got to understand, they were quoting from the Torah. Now it says, he who endures trial, for when he has been proven, he shall receive the crown of life which the Master has promised to those who love him. Let no one say when he is enticed, I am enticed by a lure, for a lure is not enticed by evil matters, and he entices no one. No, in the KJV and the Sefer, it says tempted. Now, one may ask, because I had someone or a few persons ask me this once, what's the difference between tested and tempted? Aren't they the same thing? When Yahuwah tests you or tempt you, isn't it the same thing? No, it's not. When Yahuwah tests and tempt are two different words, two different things. No, Ashatan is the one that tempts people. What does it mean to tempt? It means to entice you. It means to seduce you, to persuade you. It's like a car salesman trying to tempt you to try the car. Come on, give it a try. Jump in the car. Come on, give it a try. He's tempting you to try it, even though you don't really want to, or whatever the case may be. He's persuading you. He's enticing you. He's sweet. All right, let me sweeten the deal for you. If you do it, no, I'll give you 10% off. He's persuading you. He's trying to get you to go against your own will. He's forcing you unknowingly to do something against your will, against the Most High's will. The Most High will not do that. He will not tempt you with evil. He will not entice you. He will not try to persuade you He will not seduce you in any way. He will tell you as it is. This is what you will get if you do what I say. If you don't, that's your choice. I'm not going to persuade you. I'm not going to entice you. I'm not going to tell you, oh, you're going to get 10% off. I'm going to add this to you specially. No, Yahoo is not going to do that. He's going to tell you, this is what you get if you do it. If you don't, then this is what will happen. Choice is yours. He's not going to do that. He's not going to, you know, try to bargain with you, reason with you, or negotiate with you, or whatever the case may be. So what this is saying right here, when you are tempted or enticed, do not say that Yahuwah was the one that allowed this to happen. It was the demons. It was your flesh that allowed this to happen. Yahuwah does not entice by evil methods or tempt by evil. He entices no one. He tempts no one. He will seduce, precedes no one. Now, verse 14 says, but each person is enticed or tempted when he is drawn away by his own desires and trapped or lusts. The KJV also it will say lust. Then when desire has conceived, it gives birth to crime. And when crime conceived, when it has been accomplished, it brings forth death. So these are your own fleshly desires that get enticed by this, because Hashatan knows what to tempt or entice you with. Remember, you are coming from his kingdom. He knows your fleshly weaknesses. He knows what the flesh loves and likes and wants. So if you should fall into an enticing situation and you will give in, you cannot blame Yahuwah. Yahuwah tests you. He's testing you, not tempting you. He is checking to see what is in your heart. So don't get it twisted. Barak Yahuwah. Read on to verse 19. Yahuwah. Now listen to this. Another thing that you got to understand. So then, my beloved one, you must be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. This is what James is saying. Let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. For the wrath of man does not work the righteousness of Yahuwah. Now, what is it saying, Hazar? Be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. When you are swift to hear, you will listen to what a person has to say. Everything. So you're listening keenly. You're listening to understand. You're not listening to respond. There's a difference between listening to reply or respond or listening to understand. Now, if you're listening to respond, listening to reply, you're slow to hear, swift to speak, because you already have a response without hearing the entire matter of what the person is saying. You're not weighing the whole book. You're not judging the situation properly because you only hear one side. The person may only start and say, hey, I got something important to share with you. That's about, the swap, my faith and all that stuff. I've been having some, situations where I struggle in this area. Yes, that's because you don't listen to Yahuwah. You run ahead. You don't even allow the person to finish. The person was not finished. You take over the conversation. That's not swift to hear. That's swift to speak, slow to hear. No, you're swift to wrath. Now, being swift to hear, you will listen keenly. Listen to understand what the person is saying. Now, let me show you how. The verse is speaking. I'm not saying you won't be able to, interrupt a bit, but how do you interrupt? Do you interrupt to take over the conversation? Or do you pause the person? Do you interrupt the person a moment to ask a question to make sure you're following along? Let's say he's speaking and there's something that he said that you're not quite sure about. Maybe he misspoke or whatever the case may be, and you interrupt the person to ask, when you said, the donkey went up the hill with the water, did you mean he went up the hill with the water on him, or did he went up to the hill to get water? Oh yeah, that's what I mean. He went up the hill to get the water. Because what if he said the donkey went up the hill to the water with the water? You may think the donkey went up the hill with the water on him because of how quickly the person may speak, or the person may not say it clearly, whatever the case may be, because in the person's head, this is how he's visualizing. He or her is visualizing it. But when it comes out of he or her's mouth, his or her mouth, it's not how it is in their head, in their mind. I've seen that with my Yasha, and I've seen that with others as well. What's in their mind is not what comes out most of the times. And it's not only with my Yasha, it's even myself. There are times where what's in my mind, what's in my head, this is how I'm visualizing it, this is how, it's being said, being done, and shown and given to me. But then when I start to speak, some of it comes out, not all of it. And if a person is keenly hearing, swift to hear, he will realize the mistake. And they say to me, hey, did you mean this? I'm like, oh no, this is what I mean. And he'll help me to say what I'm saying properly so that I'm not misunderstood. So that no, you can judge properly. Now, if you're also swift to hear, not only the person speak and understand. No, you're swift to hear, not only does the person, you're also swift to hear what the Ruh has to say. Because now the Ruach Hakadosh is going to speak to you and tell you what to say, what not to say, what to do, and what not to do. Because it may be a situation where you should not do anything nor say anything. It may be a situation that you may say something. It may be a situation that you may need to do something. How will you know? When you seek Yahuwah. But if you're only quick to speak, you're not giving the Ruh time to talk to you. You're not speaking from your own fleshly perspective. So this is why Yahuwah says swift to hear and slow to speak. You're giving the Ruh, you're giving him time to speak to you, to tell you what to say or what not to say, what to do or what not to do. So it's very important to understand this verse right here, beloved ones, because I've seen this in the truth, in the walk. I've seen this in the truth, in the walk. So be careful of this, because the flesh, that's what the flesh does to us, and that's what our emotion does to us, because most of the time it's because of our emotions. Our emotions, we will get very emotional during our situation, our conversation, or whatever, a scenario. And then sometimes we will respond from our emotions, especially, and I have nothing against females, but you need to understand this, especially with females. You need to understand that you are more emotional than males. This is what Yahuwah meant when he says to the males, take care of the females, which are the weaker vessel. It doesn't mean you're weaker in strength, because any female can be as strong as a man, as any man. All you gotta do is go to gym and lift weights. I've seen some females lift things that I can't lift. I've seen some females lift things that some strong man lifts because they work out, but that's not what Yahuwah is saying. And that's why today the world, especially females, have a misconception of the weaker being the weaker vessel. And that's why they have this mentality now of feminism saying, whatever a man can do, we can do. No, you cannot do whatever a man can do. And a man cannot do whatever a woman can do. We have a certain rules, a certain responsibility, a certain understanding. It's different. No, when Yahuwah says take care of the females because they're the weaker vessel, it means more emotional. They're more emotionally weak than males. And we do see this. Life itself shows you this. Females are more. Not saying males are not emotional. Not saying that. Do not misquote me or misunderstand what I'm saying. Listen carefully. I'm not saying males are not emotional. What I am saying is that females are more emotional than males. So that is why Yahuwah is saying, because we are not so emotional, we are supposed to look after you, because you will get more emotional than us. We have seen the scenario with who? One of the first females ever on earth, Hua, when her emotions gave in to what the serpent was saying. Now, what is male's weakness? It's quite clear. Our weakness are y'all, females. Saw this with Adam, he gave in to his wife. Saw this with Abraham, he gave in to his wife. We saw this with many others. Samson, one of the strongest men on earth. Solomon, one of the wisest men on earth. And Daud, a man of Yah's own heart, he gave in, he messed up. We saw this with one of the bravest men on earth too, Eliyahu, Elijah, when he ran from Jezebel. So, your weakness, the female's weakness is the emotions. The male's weakness, female. Man, Barak Yahuwah. So that is what Yahuwah meant when he said this. So, especially females, this is why even Paul said this, and this is why you will understand why Paul will say to some females is for the females to be quiet in the assembly, because they will get emotional and then they will outburst. A male, no, if something's not clear, a male will probably raise his hand or wait till after the assembly to ask a question or whatever, or just get up and walk away. But a female wants to be heard, will voice her concern or whatever and disrupt the entire service. And that's why Paul had these experiences with females. And that's why he said to them, go when you go home, ask your husband. Because if you can control the emotions in the assembly, then it's best if you not speak. Because if you're gonna outburst, disrupt the entire service and all that stuff, it doesn't make any sense. The assembly. How do I know this? I've seen this happen. I've seen this happen to me. Previous part of an assembly that had, a lot more females that were a lot more emotional and all that did not know how to control it. I mean, every 5 minutes there was an interruption. Every 5 minutes. And it's not like there was a question. There was just emotion speaking and getting emotional. Oh, that doesn't make any sense. Hey, calm down. If there's something that's not clear, ask. Every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, there was an interruption, this or that, yada, yada, yada. But some emotion started to speak. So this is what Akisha all experienced, the Apostle Paul. This is what he experienced during his time. He had females during that time that were very emotional, that would cause disruptions. And I mean, come on, if you're trying to have an assembly, and it's so some will say they what? Are you saying we can't ask any questions? No, what I'm saying and what Paul is saying, if you can control your emotion when asking the questions, it's best if you wait then till you go home to your husband to ask your husband. Because you got to remember, you're not the only one in the assembly trying to learn, trying to understand. There are many others there. Well, if you don't know how to control it, if you want to ask a question, let's get to the question. Hey, quick question. Did you mean this or did you mean that? I meant this. Okay, sure, fine, continue. But you're taking over. Oh, this is not making sense. You're ranting on for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, an hour. No, that's too much. That's too much. So that's what he experienced. So that's what I'm saying. Yes, you can ask questions, you can talk, you can speak. Females can speak, but it must be done in decency and in order. Because if you read 1 Corinthians chapter 11, that's what he was talking about. When he talks about the prophet, when he talks about the tongues, the interpretations of tongues, the teachers and all that stuff, it was talking in decency and in order. If there's a prophet that is prophesying and there's another prophet that gives a revelation, let him first wait until that first prophet has finished speaking, then he can speak. They must do it turn by turn, not all at the same time. Because if one prophet is prophesying, then another prophet is prophesying at the same time, how will you understand? Yes, we have two ears, but we only have one mind. We have two ears, but one mind. So how can the mind process two persons speaking at the same time? Do you understand what you're saying? So read 1 Corinthians 11 to truly understand what was being done, what was being said, because it was not only about females that could not speak in the assembly. It was about any person that's outburst, any person, any male, female. If you want to be disruptive and all that stuff, then especially if you be quiet. So it's not only females, but he specified them for a reason because of what was taking place. Barak Yahuwah. And here we are in James, where it says swift to hear, slow to speak. But so many are quick to speak, swift to speak, and slow to hear. So understand the context. This is why you got to read. This is why Yahuwah says, line upon line upon line, precept upon precept upon precept. Here a little, there a little. You got to read the entire book to understand. You can't just read one chapter and understand the entire chapter sometimes. Sometimes you can read the one chapter and get the context of what the chapter is saying, but sometimes you got to read 2 chapters or more and then go to another book to understand what those chapters and book was saying. This is why you got to study. This is why for some persons it takes so long to study Yah's word. It's not something that you can just do overnight and understand. It takes time. Even though I'm still growing, I'm still learning. It takes time. No one has made it yet. No one is perfect. No one has reached. It doesn't matter if you have been in this war for 15, 20 years, 30 years. You still don't know it all. You still can grow. You still can learn. I heard one of my beloved brother, Ahim Musha, he said something. And I love this thing that he always says. He said, it's not about how long you have been in this war, but it's about how long you have been at the feet of Yahusha. Because so many have been in this walk for 15 years, but how long in those 15 years have you stayed at the feet of Yahusha? How long have you been at his feet, crying out to him, seeking him, praying, talking with him, having him talk back to you, acknowledge him in all your ways? How long have you been doing that? Because I've seen so many in this walk for 15 years, 20 years, 10 years, 7 years, and still don't know some simple things. Some simple things that you thought they should know or would have known, they don't know. So I love that thought that he said. That it's not about how long you have been in this walk, but it's about how long you have stayed at his feet. You can be in this walk for 3 years and someone only comes and stay at the feet of Yahusha for 6 months and understand a lot better than you do. Because for the 3 years that you have been in this walk, you have been like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Or you have been, trying to do things with your understanding, trying to do Yahuwah's work, but at the same time having some compromises. So someone can come in this walk for a year while you have 5 years and they understand a lot better than you do. They know a lot more than you do because of the time that you have spent to really invest yourself in it. So that's what Archimusha is saying. It's not about how long you have been in swap, but it's about how long you have been invested at his feet. Rumamu Yahuwah. So, verse 21. Therefore, put away all filthiness, there you go, and overflow of evil, and receive with meekness the implanted word, which is able to redeem, rescue your lives, and become doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving yourselves. So you need to be doers of the word and not hearers only. Because if anyone is an hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man who looks at his creational face, not this word, comes from pagan mighty one, Nature. That's the pagan mighty one's name. That's why they say mother this. Mother that is a mighty one. See, again, they're still trying to feminize a lot of Yahuwah's creation. So it's like a man who looks at his original or creational face in a mirror. So another word that you can use for this is creational or original. Right? Barak Yahuwah. For he looks at himself and goes away immediately, forgets what he was like. But he that looked into the perfect Torah, that of freedom, so there you go, it's not of bondage or curse. The perfect Torah is of freedom, and continues in it, not becoming a hearer that forgets, but a doer of work. This one shall be baruched in his doing of the Torah. So how can the Torah be done away with if this is after he died and rose? Ex-gens, those who believe that grace nonsense, those who believe the law is done away with. Answer me this. And again, go read Revelation 22, verse 14. Answer me that. Go read Barak Yahuwah. 1 John 3, verse 4. And answer me those questions. How can the Torah be done away with when if it says crime, sin, is the transgression of the law or Torah? And go read Matthew 24, verse 12, where Yahuwah says, and the love of many shall wax cool, because the lawlessness, the transgression of the Torah shall abound. The breaking of the Torah shall abound. They shall break the Torah in the last days. And for that reason, the love of many will wax cool. So how can the Torah be done away with when the Messiah is prophesying about it? That because those who say it will be done away with, their hearts will be cool. How can it be done away with and the Messiah is prophesying about it, that it shall happen in the last days, after his death? See, this is why you need to study and read the Bibles for yourself. Study for yourself. When I say study, I mean read the entire thing. Not just read the Renewed Covenant only, or as they call it, the New Testament only. If you only read that part, then that's how it's going to seem. And even if you do, you can read that part and still realize that it's not done away with, but you just got to read it in its proper context. Because when I started out, as I said, the first few books that I read was Matthew and Acts, and Reading Matthew and Acts only showed me that the Torah wasn't done away with. The law wasn't done away with, as they would call it. Reading Matthew and Acts showed me that it wasn't done away with. Even when I went to Sha'al, Paul's letters, even Paul's letters showed me that it still was not done away with. Maybe there was just some misunderstanding. Why? Because the translator, I could clearly see that this was because of the translators. You know how I know this? Because I accepted and I was aware and acknowledged the fact that the translators were the one that removed his name. You gotta first accept that. If you accept that, then you gotta understand then that if something is not quite understood in the scriptures, then that means it's because the translators removed what it should be. The same way they removed his name. I don't understand how so many can't get this. So many that do away with the renewed covenant today. And I'm talking about the Torah keepers, the Torah only keepers. Talking about the Torah only keepers that don't believe in Yahusha, that don't believe in the renewed covenant, that don't believe Yahusha came to earth and died and all that stuff, that the Messiah came to earth and died for our crimes and all that stuff and rose again. It's not like he's dead in the pit right now, but he's back in Shemayim. I'm talking about those persons who don't believe in the renewed covenant. That is false. Paul's letters are false. The renewed covenant is false. Yahusha Mashiach is false. I'm talking about you. How can you not see this? If they could remove Yahuwah's name, why don't you think they can remove some of the interpretations of the scriptures, of the Torah, of the word? Why don't you believe this? Why don't you see this? Do you really think it's only the name of Yahuwah that they removed? Remember, it's not only the name that they removed, that they removed the names of the prophets, they removed the true names of the places. So that means they would have removed some other stuff. And that's why it seems as if some of Paul's letters, some, not all, because if it was every one of Paul's letters that seemed lawless, like Paul appeared out of nowhere, if some letters he was not mentioned in the book of Acts or anything, if he just appeared out of nowhere, then there would be a problem. Then I would have a problem. And then I would have to seek Yahuwah. Then he would guide. But if you read Paul's letters, you will see where 40% of what he's saying seems as if it's saying to do against the Torah. It's done away with. But then when you read it, 60% it's not saying that. Read Romans 3, verse 31, the last verse. He even said this. Do we then nullify the Torah? No, not at all. We establish, we uphold the law, the Torah. So, again, understand. Study to show yourself approved unto Yah. Rumamu Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. So we got to understand that you will be tested. You got to understand, you got to expect that you will be tried to be perfect. Yahuwah is wanting you to be perfect. Another thing that you have to understand that you will be hated. You will be hated. Expect to be hated. That's another thing to expect. Expect to be hated when coming into this truth, into this walk. Because it's not a religion, it's a lifestyle. Matthew 10. Let's go to Matthew 10. Barak Yahuwah. 10. Let's start from verse 7. This is where Yahusha told the 12 apostles to go out to the lost sheep and all that stuff, and to proclaim, heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, cast out demons. Do not acquire, here he is, do not acquire gold or silver for your copper for your money belts, or a bag for your journey, or 2 undergarments, sandal staff. For the worker, listen to what he calls them. He calls them a worker, which means they have a work, they have a job. What is their job? To do Yahuwah's work. Is worthy of his food. Whatever city or village you enter, ask who is worthy in it, and stay there until you leave. And as you enter into a house, greet it. If the host is worthy, let your shalom come upon it. But if it is not worthy, let your shalom return to you. So if the person in the house is worthy, they are striving to be righteous, or they are righteous, then let your shalom come upon it. We learn what shalom means in the Abri teachings. Shalom means to destroy the authority connected to this order. So this is why the apostles in Acts 2, they went from house to house. By going from house to house, you're helping your brother and sister with whatever strongmans could be there, whatever demons could be there. This is why they went from house to house to pray and to help our brother and sister. So this is what you need to understand. If the house be worthy, let your shalom come upon it. If the persons in the house be worthy. But if they not be worthy, how can you let your shalom come upon something that they give in to? They are allowing the strong man to be there. They don't want the strong man to be getting rid of. They don't have no faith, no confidence, no assurance in Yahuwah Yahusha. They don't want it. How can you let your shalom be upon that house if they are rejecting it? You got to understand this as well. You will be hated. Be prepared to be hated. This is why Yahuwah led me to read this book. Now, verse 14, and whoever does not receive you, nor hear your words, when you leave that city or that house or city, shake off the dust from your feet. Truly I say to you, it shall be more bearable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city. See, I send you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. Therefore be wise as serpents and harmless, innocent as doves. You got to understand how the serpent moves. Beware of mankind, of people, for they shall deliver you up to the Sanhedrins and flog you in their congregations. And you shall be brought before the governors and kings, sovereigns for my sake, as a witness to them and to the nations. But when they deliver you up, do not worry about how or what you should speak, for it shall be given to you in that hour what you shall speak. See, swift to hear, slow to speak. The rule is going to speak no. For it is not you who speak, but the spirit of your father, the rule of your father, your Abba, speaking in you. And brother shall deliver up brother to death, and a father his child, and children shall rise up against parents, and shall put them to death. This is not only talking about your blood siblings, but this is also talking about even those in the truth as well. You got to understand this. I'll show you what I'm talking about. And you shall be hated by all. You shall be hated by all for my name's sake, not for the word, for his word, but for his name's sake. But he who shall have endured to the end shall be delivered, redeemed. So people will hate you because you choose to use the name Yahuwah Yahusha and not the name JC or BUDDHA or KRISHNA or any of these false names. Because you choose only to use the name of Yahuwah Yahusha and not these other false names, people will hate you. You do not choose to use JESUS, Yahweh Shai, or any other false mighty one names, they will hate you. So understand this, beloved ones. Being new to this walk, people will turn away from you. They will think you're mad. They will think you're cuckoo, you're crazy. They will think you're in our cult. The world is already painting it to make it seem as if we're in our cult, using different occult-like practices that uses names close to it. I mean, there's one here in Jamaica that goes by the name the Yah WEH. They use that name YAHWEH. There's an assembly that has been, going through some stuff, and that's just the enemy using them, manipulating them to do a lot of cult-like activities. But at the same time, make it seem as if they are righteous. In their eyes, they think they're righteous. But you looking from the outwards, you can see where they're wrong. So that's how they will make it seem as if we are like them. I mean, there are several persons when we will go out in the streets or share whatever, when we say the name Yahuwah, they will think, oh, you are Yah WEH assembly person. I'm like, no. I'm not associated with those people or anything of that such. I don't even use that name. That's not his name. Do you hear what I'm using? His name is Yahuwah. There's no W, there's no E in Hebrew. So that could not be his name. So when you say this, you keep the Shabbat, people will think you're a Seventh-day Adventist. When you say Yahuwah, they will think you're talking that one, Jehovah or whatever. They will think you're Jehovah's Witness, or they will think you're from that assembly. So already they're looking at you, oh, he's one of those cult persons. I've had that experience before, several times. So you will be hated because of his name. You know why? The name Yahusha. The name Yahusha means Yah is deliverer, or Yah adds deliverance. So because this name brings deliverance, these demons, they don't like it. They do not like it. They hate that name because they don't want you to be delivered from them. They don't want you to be rescued. They don't want you to be removed from their possession. So that's why they hate the name Yahusha. And because many are being governed, ruled by these demons, they will hate you because they hated him. He brought a deliverance. So they hated him, so they will hate you as well. When they prosecute you in this city, flee to another. For truly I say to you, you shall by no means have gone through the cities of Yasharal before the son of Adam comes. A taught one is not above his teacher, neither a servant above his master. It is enough for the taught one to become like his teacher, and a servant like his master. If they have called the master of the house Beelzebub, how much more those of his household? If they did this to him, how much more do you think they will do to you? Therefore do not fear them, for whatever is covered shall be revealed, and whatever is hidden shall be made known. What I say to you in the dark, speak in the light. What you hear in the ear, proclaim on the housetops. Sorry about that. And do not fear those who kill the body, but are unable to kill the being or the soul. But rather fear him who is able to destroy both soul and body in the pit. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a copper coin, and not one of them falls to the ground without your Father? And even the hairs of your head are all numbered. So do not fear, you are worth more than many sparrows. Everyone therefore who shall confess me before people, him shall I confess before my Father who is in Shemayim, the heavens. But whosoever deny me before people, him shall I also deny before my Father who is in Shemayim. Now listen, verse 34. Do not think I have come to bring shalom on earth. I did not come to bring shalom, but a sword. For I have come to bring division. A man against his father, a daughter against his mother, a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's enemy are those of his own household. He who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he who loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he who does not take up his stake and follow after me is not worthy of me. He who has found his life shall lose it, and he that lost his life for my sake shall find it. So understand that in this walk you will be hated, because Yahuwah did not come to bring unity or coexist, interfaith service. No, that's of the devil. He comes to bring division. He comes to separate. Remember, we are Kadashim. Kadashim means separated ones. We are separated from the world. So he has come to separate the wheat from the tear. He has come to separate the sheep from the goats. He has come to separate the chosen ones from those who are of the devil. So you have to expect this, that you will be hated. You have to expect to be separated from family and friends who will no longer want to be around you because now you're considered boring, or you're considered too righteous, or whatever the case may be, because you no longer want to celebrate birthdays, you no longer want to do pagan feast days, you no longer want to do majority of the things of the world, the things that they have pleasure in and they love and enjoy. You no longer want to do these things. You'll be seen as a Torah police or whatever police or whatever they want to call it. They call it all kind of names. Expect these things. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Let me show you something. Let's jump to Matthew 18. Then one more script after this. We're going to go to the next chapter after this. Then we're through. Matthew 18, let's read from verse 6 to 17. You got to understand that stumbling blocks, offenses will come. Offenses will come. Stumbling blocks will come, but don't worry about it. Listen to this, what Yahusha said in Matthew 18, verse 6. But whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to stumble, it is better for him that a millstone be hung around his neck and that he be drowned in the depth of the sea. Woe to the world because of stumbling blocks. For it is necessary that stumbling blocks come. But woe to the man or who, he or she, man or woman, by whom the stumbling blocks come. And if your hand or foot causes you to stumble, cut it off, throw it away from you. It is better for you to enter into life lame or crippled rather than having 2 hands or 2 feet to be thrown into the everlasting fire. And if your eye causes you to stumble, pluck it out and throw it away from you. It is better for you to enter into life with 1 eye rather than having 2 eyes to be thrown into the fire of the pit. See that you do not despise one of these little ones, for I say to you that in heaven or in the heavens, Shemaim, their messengers always see the face of my Father, whom is in the Shemaim or the heavens. For the son of Adam, son of man, has come to redeem what was lost. All right. Now there's something that I need you to understand regarding this passage right here. Now it says, stumbling block must come. But woe unto who the stumbling blocks comes through. Now it continues. It continues to say, if your hand or foot causes you to stumble, cut it off and throw it away from you. It is better for you to enter into life lame or crippled. So you got to understand that offenses will come. Now remember, we are one body, but different body parts. Some persons are the hand, some persons are the foot, some persons are the eye, some persons are the toe, the fingers, different body parts. Yahuwah Yahusha is the head and the mind. The Ruach Hadash is the soul, the breath of life that's in that body. But we are the body parts, but one body, one being, if we're in Yahuwah Yahusha. It's like when Yahuwah Yahusha said to the disciples that were with him, when one came to him and said, Master, your mother and your brother and your sisters are outside, are waiting for you, are asking for you. Then he looked at them and he says, who is my mother? Who's my brother? Who's my sister? And he pointed his finger at the disciples around him and he says, those who do the will of Yahuwah are my brothers, sister, and mother. So we got to understand that we are one body, but different body parts. Now, Yahuwah is saying stumbling block will come, but woe unto who the stumbling blocks come true. No, it says that if your hand or foot causes you to stumble, cut it off. So what is Yahuwah saying? We just read this in Matthew 10. Whosoever does not receive you, shake it off. Shake off the dust off your feet and leave that city and move on. They do not receive you, they do not receive him that sent you. So if you go into some scriptures and understand regarding this, where Yahuwah says, if your brother or sister transgress against you, go to him and show him his fault between you and him privately. Let me see if I can find it. Rumamu Yahuwah. Here it is. See, you got to understand the context of this. This is why you got to read things in context. You cannot just read one verse and take it as this, because you got to understand it's like a puzzle. If you only have one part of the puzzle, you can't know what the picture is, what the true puzzle is. You got to find all the pieces of the puzzle, then put the puzzle together. Then you can get the whole picture. So verse 15 says, and if your brother commits a crime against you, go and convict him. Go and convict him between you and him alone. If he hears you, you have gained your brother. But if he does not hear, take with you 2 or more, that by the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word might be established. If he refuses to hear them, say to the assembly, the body. And if he refuses even to hear the assembly, the body, let him be to you like the nations and a tax collector. So what is Yahuwah saying now? If he does not want to listen to the body, the assembly, which is governed by the head of Yahuwah, the head and the mind, no, you shall cut that hand off. If it's the hand or if the foot, no, you shall cut that hand or foot off. That's what Yahuwah is saying right here. He shall be like the nations or in a tax collector. He shall be cast aside. So Yahuwah is not saying to you, if your hand, your physical hand does something, go get a knife or an axe and chop it off. That's not what Yahuwah is saying, because at first I kind of thought that when I just came into the truth, especially when I first read this. I'm like, whoa, that's kind of harsh. Like, But can't I die? Because if you chop your hand off, you can lose a lot of blood. So you gotta get it stitch or bandage and all that stuff to stop the bleeding. Now with Yahoo, that's like suicide. Like Yahoo would be telling you to commit suicide because you can amplify your leg, but if you notice, they gotta do certain procedures when they cut the leg off. They gotta do some procedures to stop the bleeding. If you don't stop the bleeding, you can bleed out and die. So is Yahoo telling you to go chop your hand off or your foot off? No. He's saying if you have a brother or a sister that causes offense that does not want to repent, then you should cut that brother or sister off from the assembly, from the body. So what Yahuwah is saying is that you need to understand that in an assembly, you will have brothers and sisters that will cause offenses, that will no longer hear. Because if you go to 2 Thessalonians 2, verse 3, it says that the falling away will come first, before the son of perdition is revealed. First Timothy, verse 4, the rule speaks expressly that in the latter times some will depart from the faith, which means they were already in the faith, in the belief, in the truth, which means they were already a part of the body, the assembly. So you got to understand, you got to expect. This is another thing that you have to expect. You have to expect that some persons that you come in the truth with, or that you have come in the truth to see, not everyone will endure. Some will depart from the faith. Some will depart from the belief. You got to expect this. And this is what I see, that some have a hard time letting go of. Not only will you have a hard time letting go of your blood brother or sister or mother or father or son or daughter, if they don't want to accept the truth. That's if they don't want to accept the truth. Like if they straight up reject it, they don't want to have nothing to do with it and all that stuff, then you will have a hard time letting go of it. Some persons may not have a hard time letting go of it because maybe the relationship was not so great from the before coming into the truth. But if you had a big bond, a great bond, a relationship with your mother, your brother, with your sibling, with your family, it's going to be hard for you to let them go because of that bond. So not only will you have hard time letting go of your blood sibling, but even those who are in the truth with you will have a hard time to let go. And I've seen persons struggle to do this. A brother or sister may not want to endure anymore, may not want to do things, or Yahuwah says that they are becoming puffed up, and you're trying to show them their fault, but they don't want to receive it. Then you try to take 2 or more witnesses, and they still don't want to receive it. No, you got to let them be cast out. No, you bring them to the assembly, they still don't want to listen. No, you got to cast them out. I've seen so many struggle to do this, to let go of that person, because they are letting their compassion, they're letting their emotions guide them and lead them. I've seen it happen several times. Even recently, I saw this happen. So this is another thing that you have to expect as new believers. Be prepared to let go of not only your blood family, but your family in truth, who is not willing to continue anymore in truth. If they want to go do whatever they want to do, they want to become selfish or whatever, they want to do things their way, they want to please their flesh, whatever, you gotta step back and allow them to do so. You can't choose for them. Yahuwah says that every man work out their own redemption in fear and trembling before him. I cannot choose for any persons. And I will not allow that person to drag me to the pit with them. No. When I was in the world by myself. I never saw you. I did not come into the truth with you. You are not the reason that I came into the truth. No one. Not my wife, not my son, not my mother, not my brother, not my father. No one. It's because of Yahuwah why I'm here. And not even Yahuwah will cause me to stumble. So even if my wife should go astray, Yah forbids, but just saying, even if she should go astray, am I gonna let my wife lead me down the pit with her? No. There's gonna have to be a separation. We saw this with Abigail. So many of you females don't know about the scenario with Abigail. Because I see, females will put up with unrighteous husbands, which you don't have to. Especially if you had a marriage covenant in JC. That's a covenant that can be broken, that you don't need debt. Yes, I understand that marriage is, through the Torah. If you're married to someone and you made a vow to Yahuwah, the only way to be separated from that person is death. That's if you made a covenant with Yahuwah to that person. You prayed in Yahuwah's name to that person, but not JC. Because remember, we made many covenants in JC's name. Are we still hold the Yahuwah still hold us to those covenants and vows in JC's name? No. We renounce and denounce those vows. Those vows are broken. We are dead to JC. We died. So we were freed from those covenants, those vows. We spiritually died to those vows. Any man being Mashiach is a renewed creature. All things are passed away. I am crucified with Hamashiach. That's what Paul said in Galatians 2:20. Nevertheless, I live, yet not I, but Mashiach that lives within me. Remember, when we do immersions, that's what we're saying. We're dying off the flesh. We're dying off the things of the world. We're dying to the vows that we made to the world, to the devil, to the enemy. So even if you have a marriage covenant that you did in JC's name before coming into the truth, that vow, if you come into the truth, be merged, has already been broken. No, you just need to separate yourself from that person, because that person, your husband or your wife, is dead to Yahuwah. He is dead. So you are now free of that vow. But if you make a vow no in Yahuwah, after coming into the truth, you now found a husband or a wife in Yahuwah, and the husband do it the right way, doing it the right way, do the vow in Yahuwah's name, you are tied to that vow until one of you physically dies. That's something that you got to understand with marriage covenants, especially when it comes down to marriage. So, as Paul said, if that unbelieving husband or spouse or wife is willing to live with you, let him stay, because your actions or your deed may cause him or her to come to truth. But if that person wants to leave, they don't want to do it, they don't want it, they're trying to pull you back to the truth. This is why Paul says that you need to leave. No, leave them, allow them to leave, allow them to go. You cannot choose for the person. Go read the story of Abigail. She had an unrighteous marriage. She had an unrighteous husband. She intervened when Dawood was coming to kill that husband and her and the entire family and everyone else. She intervened. Yahuwah allowed her to. And by doing this, she obeyed Yahuwah, not trying to please the husband, because she did this behind her husband's back. Her husband did not know of this. Why? Because she does not live to please her husband. She lives to please Yahuwah. None of us does. I don't live to please my wife. My wife doesn't live to please me. We live to please Yahuwah. If Yahuwah is pleased and we please Yahuwah, she will be pleased. If I please Yahuwah, she should be pleased. And if she pleases Yahuwah, I should be pleased. But the problem is we strive to please our husband. And that's the wrong way of doing it. So Barak Yahuwah, definitely what will be coming next, what I would love to do going forward, is have like a marriage workshop for singles and also those who are married, because this is another concept that so many persons don't understand. So many persons don't truly understand marriages and need help in that era. So many persons don't understand these vows, these covenants that need to be broken, that have already been broken by dying of the world, and know what to expect when coming into the truth, when coming into a marriage, especially for those who desire to be married, which every believer should desire to be married, because that's Yahuwah's perfect will. Yahuwah's perfect will for us is to be fruitful and multiply. That's his perfect will that he made to Adam and Hua. Yes, I know Akisha says something about if you're not willing or whatever, you can, abstain and whatever, but that's Akisha Al's own opinion. Why? Because that was given to him. Yahusha said, he shall see how much he shall suffer for my sake. Why? Because he allowed the apostles to suffer and the prophets. So he had to suffer not having a wife to be married to. He had to suffer these things. So not because he said it doesn't mean it's a command. Doesn't mean that you don't have to be married. You should strive to be married. Marriage is a very beautiful thing. And this is what they talked about, this is what people don't understand, because there are a few out there trying to make it seem as if, marriage is awful, marriage is this, marriage is that, and all that stuff. But it's not. It's really a beautiful thing. If you have a righteous marriage in Yahuwah, marriage outside of Yahuwah, well, that's another case. That's another scenario. So you got to understand these things. So definitely what I'll be doing is work on a video to help with marriages, because this is something that needs help. This is another area that needs help in this walk. And it's not only for marriages, not only for couples, rather, but also for singles, because there are so many singles out there that don't even want to be married because of the misconceptions regarding marriage and what we're told and all that stuff. I've seen this nonsense. There are some out there trying to do workshops and whatever of marriages and all that stuff, but they still don't understand true marriages in Yahuwah. So you need to understand that coming into this walk, offenses will come. It will come through brothers and sisters. It will come through those who you love dearly. But you got to understand that you have to allow them to choose. They want to go into the world, let them do so. If they want to do their own will, their own thing, let them do so. You cannot force that person to choose. You need to make a choice though. Are you going to allow them to cause you to stumble as well? To cause you to not keep the Shabbat, not keep the feast days and all this, all those stuff? Be careful. No, Barak Yahuwah. Final verse that we're getting into, our final chapter. Next chapter after this, Rumamu Yahuwah. It's chapter 19. We're going to verse 16. In order to inherit, you need to forsake. You got to forsake to inherit. What do I mean by you have to forsake to inherit? In order to inherit everlasting life, in order to inherit the kingdom of Yahuwah, you have to forsake the things of the world. You have to forsake the world. So you have to forsake to inherit. The same way you got to unlearn to relearn. So you got to do the opposite of what you were doing when you were in the world. Things that you were doing in the world, no, you have to do the opposite of that. You weren't keeping the Shabbat, no, you got to keep the Shabbat. You weren't keeping the feast days, you were keeping pagan feast days, no, you have to keep the true feast days. You weren't doing what Yahuwah says, no, you have to do what he says. Because Hashatan has made you done the opposite of what you should be doing in the first place. What you should have been doing was keeping the Shabbat, keeping the feast days, doing what Yahuwah says. But Yahuwah tells you to go up. Hashatan told us to go down. So we were doing the opposite things of Yahuwah. So in order to learn, you got to unlearn to relearn. In order to inherit, you got to forsake to receive. Because if your storehouse is already full, how can you receive? If your mind is already full of knowledge, then how can you receive? You got to unlearn. It's like trying to program your computer or reprogram your computer to install Windows 10. And you have Windows 7 or Windows 8, and you want to install Windows 10, Windows 11, Windows 12. In order to install Windows 11, 12, or whatever, you got to uninstall, remove Windows 7 and 8, because those are two different operation systems, which require two separate space, two different 64 bits and all that stuff. The Windows 7 may be 32 bits, the Windows 10 may be 64 bits. So the programs that you have on the Windows 7 will not work on Windows 10, 11, and 12. So you got to do what? You got to format your hard drive. You got to get rid of Windows 7 and receive Windows 10. So this is why when you come into this truth, it doesn't matter if you were a Bible scholar. It doesn't matter if you got your doctorate in theologian. Doesn't matter if you went to those Bible schools. You have to unlearn that knowledge and come in fresh and new, start over, because you were taught by a wicked teacher. You were taught by the devil and not by Yahuwah. But I've seen some as well come into this walk because they were pastors, because they were this, they were that. They come into this walk and straight away start to teach, not unlearning to relearn. Because you have a doctorate or you were an apostle or whatever the case may be, minister or whatever, deacon, whatever, and you have your doctorate. You went to Bible school, so I know the Bible back and front. And straight away start to teach and not trying to unlearn to relearn. So many don't want to start over. Why? Because our flesh does not like to start over. That's why we struggle to walk away from our spouses, because you can't bother to start over the dating process again. You have already spent a year in this person, 2 years in this person, 5 years in this person, and it makes it so hard for you to walk away. You have invested so much into this person for 5 years, 10 years. I know you're seeing signs, you're seeing where the person does not want to serve Yahuwah. That's why it's so hard for us to walk away because your mind, your flesh is focusing on those 5 years, those 10 years, those 3 years, those 50 years of relationship with that person. Oh, I've invested so much, man, to go start over. Oh man, that's too much. I'd rather stay than to go start over. I'd rather start over than to stay. Because why be in a relationship where I'm not joyful? I'm miserable. I have no joy, I have no shalom. When I can simply start over where I will find joy and shalom. Which would you rather? Having 15 years, 10 years, 5 years of no joy, no shalom, and at the end of it, you see nothing? The end of all of it, there's nothing? Or would you rather to start over and spend 1 year with someone, 2 years with someone that you have shalom and joy? 15 years, no shalom, no joy, or 2 years, 5 years, 10 years of shalom and joy? Which one would you rather? I rather to start over. So you got to understand that this is starting over. Coming into this truth, you are starting over. This is what Yahusha said. Any man be in him is a renewed creature. You are renewing. You are starting over every single thing. That's why you are considered a baby in the truth. You have to start off on milk, then you go into food. You are growing, starting over everything. You got to let go of that Bible knowledge that you were given in CNT. You got to let go of that worldly knowledge that you were given in schools, in universities, and all that stuff. You have to start over. Do not be afraid to start over. Do not be afraid to let go, to forsake these things. If you are afraid and if you do not let go, then you will not be able to inherit the things that Yahuwah has for you. Barak Yahuwah. So listen to this, Rumamu Yahuwah. And see, one came and said to him, wonderful teacher, or tube teacher, because the Hebrew word or the Arabic word is tube. Tube teacher, what tube or what right shall I do to have an everlasting life? And he said to him, why do you call me tube? No one is tube except one Allure, except one Allure. But if you wish to enter into life, guard the commands. And he said to him, which? And Yahusha said, you shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not be a false witness. Respect your father and your mother. You shall love your neighbor as yourself, your neighbor, which means your brother, not your actual neighbor in your neighborhood community. Because what if your neighbor in your community is a witch? Is Yahuwah telling you to love a witch as yourself? Yahuwah said in the Shama, not in the Shama, but the Torah, suffer not a witch to live. That's Deuteronomy 22:18. Suffer not a witch to live. So why would Yahuwah then change his mouth and say, oh, suffer that witch to live? Love her as yourself. Yes, love your enemy, show them love, give them a chance by showing them love, by telling them to repent. That's love. Correcting someone, that's love. So a lot of persons don't understand what love is and think love is by giving someone gifts, by doing deeds. But we, as I read in the teaching that I did last time regarding the widows and the orphans, you must do it in deed and in truth. You cannot love in deed only and not have truth. You got to do both. Love is required of deed and truth. So in order to truly love someone, you got to do these things. You got to correct them. You got to show them where they're wrong. If you don't do these things, then you don't love them. Or you don't love them as much as you think. So this is why Yahuwah is saying, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I love myself so much that I try to be true in Yahuwah. I try to be perfect towards Yahuwah. So I guide myself towards Yahuwah and towards his instruction. So if I'm going to love my neighbor as myself, I'm going to tell him to do the things that I'm doing. I'm going to tell him to keep the Shabbat, keep the feast days. So you're going to look out for him that way. You're going to see him as your brother. You're going to see him as one body because he's your neighbor. Remember, you're the left hand, he's the right. Or you're the foot, he's the hand. That's your brother. That's your neighbor. Right? Now, if it's a witch that clearly does not want anything to do with Yahuwah, doesn't want to serve Yahuwah, nothing after that, he or she clearly says, I'm a witch. I serve whoever, Azazah, whatever. Or is Yahuwah saying, go love that witch as yourself, go over to their house every day, eat with them, drink with them, talk with them? No. So understand this as well. For newcomers, this is what neighbor means. Neighbor means your brother who is in the truth with you. All right? Barak Yahuwah. Am I saying don't love persons you see, strangers or those in your community? Yes, you show them love. As I said, love is in deed and in truth, showing them deed and in truth by corrections and all these things. But to love your neighbor as yourself, it did not say just to love them, but to love them as yourself. No, that's a whole another thing. That's something different that you have to understand. How do you love yourself? How do you treat yourself? The young man said to him, all these I have watched over from my youth. What do I still lack? Now Yahusha said to him, if you wish to be perfect, if you wish to be perfect, go sell what you have and give to the poor. Go sell what you have, get money, make money, and give to the poor. And you shall have treasure in Shemayim, and come follow me. Now, even in regards to the widows and the orphans, here we go again. This is what Yahusha is saying. We got to do this for the poor, for the strangers. This is what we talked about in the widows and orphans, that we got to look after them. We got to visit them, not remember. I heard someone say this says nothing about giving money and to visit, that we have to remember them. And this is why we had a falling out recent, because someone had a hard time giving towards widows and orphans because they struggle to see where we need to, where it involves money and all that stuff and yada, yada, yada. Now, if you look into it, when you look into the tidings and the tidings, these persons had farms. That was their source. That was their source of income, these farms and all this stuff. This was what they left for the orphans and the widows and the strangers, right? The poor. They left food for them. Now, if you already are in possession of food, then you won't need to buy food, if that's making sense to you. If you already have food, why would you need to buy food? These persons had already food, so they would not need to buy food, so they would not need to come together with money. But in our cases, we are not farmers today. We're, regular persons with regular jobs, and some of us may not have a job, whatever the case may be. But I'm talking to those who are not farmers, who have a regular job, that work and collect money and not food. No, you have no food. So in order to give to the widows and the orphans, guess what? We need money to buy food. We need money to buy food and clothing. None of us can walk into a supermarket or a clothing store and pick up whatever we want and walk out. We need money to get these things done. No, we had persons that had a hard time with this because they said they didn't see where it requires money and all that stuff and yada, 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 and all that stuff. And I'm like, what? I made that clear. Here it is again. Sell what you have, give to the poor. So if you sell what you have, when you sell the things that you have, what are you going to receive when you sell them? You're going to receive money, or you're going to receive food or clothing. In most cases, you're going to receive money. Because if you have a car and you sell the car, what are you going to receive? You're going to receive money. If you have a horse, a donkey, and you sell it, you're going to receive money. So what do you do with this money? You give it to the poor. That's what he said. You give it to the poor so that they can buy the food that they need. Or you can buy the food and bring it to them. I even said this in the video. You can look up for our brothers and sisters on the channel, the subscribers. You can look up orphanage, true orphanage in your era, and we can donate to each orphanage different times. We can go visit, and we are going to do this. We're not going to give these orphanage the money and then they do whatever with it. I mean, that would be dumb. Who would do that? Even though we do have persons that do that in the world and all that stuff, that blindly gives. But we should not be like that. Because these orphanage, how do we know for sure if we should say, let's say we gather, I'm just saying, that's a figure, let's use a figure. Let's say we gather $50,000 US dollars or 100,000 US dollars, and we give it to this orphanage. How do we know for sure that that orphanage is going to use all that $100,000 to buy food and clothing for those orphans within their care, or for that shelter within their care, the poor, the homeless that is within their care? How do we know that for sure? They may say, but how do we know? We don't have access to their bank accounts or whatever, so how do we know? We're not going to be around them 24/7, so how would we be assured? We do it ourselves. We bring food there. We gather the money as brothers and sisters. Then we go out, we purchase these foods. Then we take the food and the clothing there to the shelter or to the orphanage and distribute to the orphans or the poor. That's what we know for sure. And that's what we will be doing. So right here, he told the rich man to do this, to sell what you have and give it to the poor, and then come follow him. But look what happened. The same thing that happened with us. When the young man heard the word, he went away sad because he had many possessions. So again, in order to inherit, you need to forsake. So many will not inherit, so many will not forsake the things that they have. And yet, so many will say, oh, they are cheerful given all this nonsense. But in this small task that Yahweh is tasking you to do, testing you to do, you fail to do. You find it so hard to give. I mean, what's so hard to give? I even said, if you are able to, I'm not telling anyone to sow $100 seeds or $1,000 seeds. I mean, if I was doing that, then it would be wrong. I'm not telling anyone what to sow. Not saying sow $50, not saying sow $100, $500, or $1,000. You sow what you are capable of. Even if it's $5, $2, whatever the case may be, there's going to be a certain timeline that we will do this, get this done. So you will have time to give. You know, there's a saying here in Jamaica, every nickel makes a muckle. Every nickel counts. You got to get to a certain amount of nickels to reach $1, a certain amount of dollars to reach $100, to reach to $1,000. So you start from one. In order to reach a 10, you got to start at one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So at the end of the day, you start somewhere. So the young man, when he heard this, he went away sad because he had many possessions. No, verse 23, it says, and Yahusha said to his thought ones, truly I say to you, it is hard for a rich man to enter into the reign of Shemayim, heaven. And again I say to you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the reign of Yahuwah. Now let me explain verse 24 here. Another thing that we, especially new believers, will need to understand. And not only new believers, but also those in the truth as well. Because I, recently found this out about a year and a half ago or so. So it's something, I think it was a year ago that I recently found this out. Our beloved elder, Barak Yahuwah, Elder Zakar, he did some studying regarding this because, man, he loves history. He's very keen on history. He did some studies regarding this, and he realized and he found out that there was a place and a certain gate back then in Jerusalem, in different cities, that they call Needle's Eye. The reason why they called it Needle's Eye, because it was so narrow when it was closed at a certain point. Why they closed the gate so small? Because they did not want robbers to escape easily. Like if robbers should rob and loot place, they would load the loot on their camels or their horses and ride away easily. So if the gates will be closed at a certain part of the day, at sundown, certain part of the day or the night, they will be closed to a certain passage point that camels struggle to pass through. So they call that passage Needle's Eye. Now, what would happen is, in order for a camel to pass through this gate or this passageway, the camels will have to unload the burdens, the sacks that is carrying on his sides. The owner would have to take these off, then the camel would have to go down on all fours, which means the camel will have to crawl through these spaces to get past it. So if a robber came in and robbed, well, he would be caught because it would take the camel some time to crawl through. So this is what Yahuwah is saying. It's easier for a camel to pass through Needle's Eye, that narrow passage, than it is for a rich man to enter into the reign of Yahuwah. That's what he's saying right here. That's what this means. So it's not talking about an actual camel going through the eye of a needle. No. I mean, it's hard enough for us to even thread a needle with our thread. It's hard enough for us to get that thread through the needle. I mean, I don't know about you, but I struggle at times. At one time, I used to love it because I ate a lot of carrots and I was younger, so my eyes were a lot sharper. So, my mom, she would always ask me or, whatever, and I would love to do it because, I kind of love the challenges and all that stuff. But, it's even hard. It's still hard. Even with sharp vision, it's still challenging to get that thread through the needle, through the eye of that needle. So can you imagine a camel that's a lot bigger than a needle to go through a needle's eye? That did not make any sense to me. I never understood it, but I knew it was a parable that needed interpretation. And Barak Yahuwah, he gave us what that interpretation means. So you can go look this up. Neither's eye. It was a tight passage that Kame had to crawl through on all fours. Ruma Mu Yahuwah for that revelation. Urak Yahuwah. Now, find a few verses. And when his taught ones heard it, they were very astonished, saying, who then is able to be redeemed? If it's so hard, who then is able to endure this walk? So you see, it's hard. So even they, the apostles, the taught ones, the disciples, they were astonished. They even had to ask Yahuwah, Yahusha, who can be delivered? Who can be redeemed? Verse 26 says, and looking intently, Yahusha said to them, with mankind, with people, this is impossible. But with Yahuwah, all is possible. Then Kampar answering said to him, see, we have left all and follow you. What then shall we have? See, even Kampar said this. They have left all. They have left houses, money, all these things to follow after Yahuwah, Yahusha. They forsake all to inherit. Let's see what they will inherit. Verse 28, Yahusha said to them, truly I say to you, when the Son of Man, or Adam, sits on the throne of his estate, you who have followed me in the rebirth shall also sit on 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Yasharal. Verse 29, and everyone who has left houses, or brothers, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for my name's sake shall receive 100-fold, and shall inherit everlasting life. Did we see this? Yes. With who? Ayub. Did he got mad when he lost his children? Did he got mad and cursed Yahuwah? No. He Baruch Yahuwah. He tore his scrolls and he says, Yahuwah, give it. Yahuwah, take it away. Baruch be the name of Yahuwah. He exalted Yahuwah in their debts. He did not mourn. You know why? Because Yahuwah said so. Yahuwah says when one born, that's when we're supposed to mourn, because we don't know what that person will become. But when one dies, that's when we rejoice. We should rejoice when someone dies. But yet, we're doing the opposite. We mourn when someone dies. So yeah, right here, Ayub, he did not curse Yahuwah or Yahuwah accountable for his children's death. He rejoiced. Did he receive the 100-fold? Yes, he did. He received those children back. Was it the same children? I believe not. I believe Yahuwah would have restored him with righteous children. Children that would honor him, that would respect him, not only Ayub, but they would also serve Yahuwah. Because remember, if you read chapter 1, Ayub had to make offerings for them. He says perhaps they're doing something that they should not do. So Ayub knew they weren't truly doing Yahuwah's will. Those children that he had before, they weren't truly righteous. They weren't doing Yahuwah's will. So he had to make offerings for them every day. And if you watch the teachings that I did regarding birthdays, you will clearly understand that they were celebrating their brother's birthday. Because in times past, only males were allowed to celebrate their day of birth. That's why you saw Pharaoh, that's why you saw King Herod, only as males celebrating their birthdays. If you look up the history of birthday celebration, you'll see this. Females were not allowed until some years after, like many years after. Talking about during after Yahusha's death and resurrection. After those times were females allowed to celebrate their birthday or day of birth. So in one times past, only males were. And if you notice, it says that each was in their brother's house on their day, on a specific day. On his day, they were in the eldest brother's house, eating and drinking and feasting. Now, when someone has a birthday, what do? We keep birthday parties and we go to their house and we eat and we drink. And Ayub said, least perhaps they are doing something that they should not be doing. What happened? They died right then and there. Don't we see so many deaths happen on birthdays? So many bad things happen to us during our birthdays or during our birth month because we plan to celebrate it or we have celebrated and after. I mean, doing it right before our birthday comes up, something bad happens. Something happens to us, our family members, whatever the case may be, during that time or after that time. And look at it. During Pharaoh's time, something bad happened. He sacrificed, he killed his baker or butler. During Herod's time, he killed who? He killed Yahuwah, the immerser, or as they erroneously call him, John the Baptist. So we saw deaths during these times. That's why you see that pattern happening today. During birthday celebration, bad things happens. Because if you should research the history, the origin, why birthdays celebrations were created, were established, then you would realize why bad things happens. Nothing wonderful will ever come out of a birthday celebration. I don't care who you are or whatever, nothing brilliant would ever come out. It doesn't matter if someone gets you a car on your birthday. It doesn't matter if you get your house on your birthday. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and loses his own soul? You're doing something that the Most High is against. If you look up the origin of it and look at the cake, why were most birthday cakes round? It's no, they're trying to make different cakes because they're trying to keep you away from the truth. But look at most birthday cakes. They are round and they have lights on it, candles. Why is that? Then we blow the candles out to make a wish. Now we're making ourselves an allure because we can wish whatever, we can speak whatever into existence. That's wrong. That should not be done. You know why the cakes were round? Because it's a shape of the moon. The lights of the candle represent the illuminations of the moon. So that's why you have that shape in that cake, and that's why you have candles. The candles will illuminate, just as though the moon has light, illuminescence of the moon. That's what the candle represents, and that's why most cakes are round. And then when you blow a wish, you are wishing something into being. Oh, I wish to have millions. I wish to have a car. I wish to have a house. Who are you doing that wish to? You're not doing it to Yahuwah, because Yahuwah, nowhere in the Bible, nowhere in the scriptures, can you show me where any righteous person celebrated their day of birth or where Yahuwah commanded us to? So people like to say, oh, Azar, it's not in the scriptures. There's no Torah. There's no command against birthday celebration. Yes, there is. Yahuwah says his esteem he does not give to another. He does not give his esteem to anyone else. Look at birthday celebration. When persons come to your birthdays, what do they come with? They come with an offering and gift and offering, and they are praising you. Oh, joyful birthday to you. It's your day. Oh, it's your day. When were you ever in day one of creation? Or before day one of creation? Were you there with Yahuwah to create day one or day two or day three or day seven or day five? Where is your name on any day? When did you make a day? So how can it be your day if you did not make any days of the week? Do you see what I'm saying? You're taking the esteem for something you did not do. But you will not look at it that way because our minds and our flesh don't want you to see. The demons don't want you to see. Oh, nothing is wrong. Don't think about it. Don't worry about it. All right, let me show you proof. Out of a demon's mouth, a satanic worshipper's mouth, someone who worships Satan's openly. He does not hide his faith in Satan. He clearly declares he's a worshiper of Satan. He is the first man in our time to establish a CH. He is the founder of the satanic CH. He also made a satanic Bible. Yes, you all know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Anton LaVey. Anton LaVey, one of the Satanists who is the founder of the satanic CH, he created a Bible inspired by the devil, Hashatan. And in this Bible, page 96, do you know what Anton LaVey says? He says one of the highest holidays in the satanic religion is that of one's own day, one's birth. So it's talking about your birthday. It's the highest holiday to Satan. Do you know why? Because unlike Xmas, unlike Easter, unlike Halloween that you only celebrate one time per year, birthdays are celebrated every single day. Every day there is someone celebrating a birthday somewhere. I did not say every human being is celebrating a birthday. But what I'm saying is every single day right now, there are multiple birthdays being celebrated. So this is why it is the highest form of worship to him. Because this is being done every single day. Xmas, Halloween, and EASTER, that's only one time per year. That's only one time do we come together to do Xmas and Halloween and EASTER and all that nonsense. That's one time the world does that. But birthdays, that's something that someone does every day.
So Hashatan, in order to get esteem from celebrating Xmas and Halloween, he has to wait until that specific time. But with birthdays, he doesn't have to wait. Someone is doing it no. Someone done it yesterday. Someone is doing it no. Someone is doing it tomorrow. Someone is doing it next day. They are doing it forever throughout the year, 24/7, 364 days in the year. They're doing it every year. So birthdays are one of the highest forms. So did we saw this happen with Ayub? Yes, he received more righteous children. He received that everything that he lost. So he forsake to inherit. So you have to expect this. Expect to forsake the things of the world to please Yahuwah, to inherit the things of Yahuwah. What you receive in the world, you have to stay out in the world to keep it. And what you receive in Yahuwah, you have to stay in Yahuwah to keep it. If you receive billions in the world, you receive that through scamming or hacking or drugs or whatever illegal way or whatever worldly way. You were a movie star, you were a celebrity. In order to keep those billions, you got to stay in the world to continue to make it. Coming into Yahuwah, Yahuwah is going to have you use those to do towards the poor, the widows, the orphans, and all that stuff. He's going to now make you his possessor. This is why Abraham did not want to receive the wealth from the kings, because he did not want the kings to say, I gave Abraham this, I made him wealth, and all that stuff. So understand this, new believers, Barak Yahuwah. Salaki, sorry this is so long, but it's a must needed video. Take your time in going through it, break it down in parts. If you gotta watch it in parts, watch maybe half an hour, then pause, then come back later on the next day or whatever, watch another half an hour, or watch 1 hour. That's all you gotta do it. That's how I and my Yeshua did it when we first came into the truth regarding Yeshua's teaching. We watched it in parts. Some of the videos we watched 2 to 3 times in order to receive a lot of what he was saying. Some we watched like maybe 40 minutes, 45 minutes, then we paused it right there, got back on it the next day or whatever, and we continue. Some we watch the entire thing all at once. So you can do it in parts. Even though this may be over 2 hours, do it in parts. So you can receive all that you should receive. Rumamu Yahuwah. So, as I said, this is for really new believers that are coming into this world that don't know what to expect. These are just some of the things what to expect, some of the main things where I see so many feel. I see so many feel in these simple tasks. These simple tasks that I'll share with you, I see so many feel. So many feel to do these things. So many feel to forsake brothers or sisters. So many feel the testing. So many don't want to be hated. So many don't want to be offended. All this stuff. So many don't want to let go of worldly possessions. So, Rumamu Yahuwah Allahu Yah. Do what you got, do what you must need to be do to inherit the kingdom of Yah. You gotta walk away from your job, if you gotta walk away from loved ones, if you gotta walk away from things of the world, possessions of the world, so be it. Do what you have to do, because it will not profit you. The things of the world will not profit you at the end of this life. Do not follow these false teachers and say, live your best life. No. And you only live once nonsense and do as thou wilt and all this nonsense teachings. This life is temporary, but the life to come is permanent, which means it is forever. You will not get a second chance. You will not get a do-over. So take the chance while you have it now and do the right thing before it is too late. Rumamu Yahu, Allah, Yah. So for all, this will be a barakah unto you. This will be a gift unto you as new believers, or even those that are already in the truth that are struggling in some of these areas to forsake things, are struggling to be hated, struggling to when offenses come, whatever the case may be. But as again, especially towards new believers, these are the things to expect. Palah, pray. This is a barakah unto you, a gift unto you, and I also Palah pray, Rumamu Yahuwah, and hope that you will do the right thing. You will do the right thing. But again, that choice is yours. Umamu Yahu. Hallelujah. So if you have any questions, any comments, anything to share, testimonies, whatever the case may be, you can do so in the comment section. Any comments, whether you want to do it publicly or privately. If you want to do it privately, you can send it to our emails and we'll definitely respond to you. Umamu Yahu. Definitely will respond to you. I know, in times past, you may have sent emails to others and they did not respond or whatever. But unlike them, we do respond. We are not like those that don't respond and all that stuff. Some persons are truly really busy and, they have so many emails or messages to respond to, and some truly don't care. But we will do our best to respond and reach out back to you and all that stuff. Ruma Mu Yahoo. So our emails will be in the description. You can send an email to us there. You can just leave a comment in the comment section for Rock Yahuwah. So enjoy the rest of your Shabbat. Ruma Mu Yahuwah. This is Watchman Azar Yahuwah again. Sign out on behalf of Yahuwah. Striving to be perfect, striving to inherit the things of Yah, because only he who endures to the end shall be redeemed. So let's get this work in, everyone. Let's endure to the end, and let's meet up in the 1,000-year reign and in the life of Ruma Mu Yahuwah, where there will be no pain, where there will be no sorrow or death. Barak Yahuwah. Allahu Yah, Ruma Mu Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. Shabbat Shalom, beloved ones.